Good morning. What's up, bruh?
Morning, morning, morning.
What is going on?
Not much, man.
Hey, I had 3 hours of sleep.
Whew. That's tough, bro.
It's all good. I'm used to it.
Mm.
All good and good. Hey, so I guess there's a special guest, right?
Yeah, my mom's gonna come up, dude.
Hey, man, I didn't know that was your mom.
Yeah, that's my mom, bro.
Well, she used to be Catholic.
Yeah, we all used to be Catholic. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
No way. That's cool, man. My family was, well, they still are, but yeah, that's cool. CJ, voice of Muddy Waters, what's up, man?
What's up, bud?
Heaven, that's what's up.
Exactly.
Sleepy time. Let's read a story together.
What's that?
My kid has toys out.
Oh, I thought you was talking to me in a weird voice or
My
something.
kid voice. Let's read a book.
Let's read book. Let's read Bible.
Let's read the Bible.
Let's read Bible.
That's probably how we should talk to some of the people. Yeah.
Morning, CJ. How's it going, buddy boy?
Morning, how's it going? It's going great.
Going.
Great.
I'm amazing.
Amazing.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Yeah, but there was no way I was staying on that long last night. You're crazy. You're crazy. Hmm. Anybody here? Flippity.
No, don't you worry. Trot's gonna come in and he'd be like
You
a little
asked
bit
and
of
she
little
answered.
little bit of this.
Little bit of that.
Morning, Jesse. How are you doing? How was your weekend?
It was peaceful.
Oh, good.
Thank you. And
Was it?
yours? Did you work a lot this weekend?
So we moved a lot of my daughter's stuff out of her bedroom upstairs, downstairs, and then today we're going to be moving the new cribs for the twins into my daughter's previous bedroom. So we're basically getting the nesting stage in. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, did you have children at all?
I have two beautiful daughters.
Nice.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I got a 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl, and we're gonna have twin boys. So,
That's going to be a challenge, a good challenge.
oh, a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
challenge!
Twins.
Great challenge.
We
Yep.
thrive in challenges.
Yes, we do.
20 twins. Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, my daughter's reaction when we told them both, she started crying. She threw herself back on the couch and cried. She was so bummed out. She's like, I want a little sister. I'm like, well, that's too bad.
Too bad. You're gonna have two little brothers.
Yeah. I was like, yeah,
Lucky
we don't need
charm.
it. We don't need another Ella.
Oh wow. Yeah, they're great at that age.
Oh man.
That's gonna be a challenge feeding too.
Oh, we got it. We got
Oh
it.
yeah, you're not the first. You won't be the last.
You said
Yep.
feeding?
Feeding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, once you just got to get them on that schedule. Once you get them on that schedule, it'll be all right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, now the first month's sleep is going to be few and far between, but that's okay.
Worth it.
And actually, when they're first born, they're not. Most people. I think that's the easiest time to take care of a baby.
It is, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, then when that first couple months, they're just all they do is eat and sleep.
Yep. Eat, sleep, and poop.
That's it, man. They don't do anything else. I mean, unless they're colicky, then it can get a little hectic. But
Yeah.
and even nowadays they have stuff for that. So
Yep. Hey,
that's
Flip, is that
amazing.
a Ronin or what?
This
Flip had
guy's a
that baby.
straight up
Flip had
ninja
that baby
with a
scared for a
double-edged
little bit
sword.
there.
Yeah, man.
Mine is a year and 5 months, almost 5 months.
You gonna have
He
any more,
is
CJ, or that's it?
he's a handful already.
CJ?
I don't even. I mean, if it's in the Lord's will, we will have more. As far as trying to
Baby.
have more right this second, nah.
Don't forget to bump some Jodeci while you're at it.
What?
Dre, hey man, Dre's gonna have like 14 kids, man.
Oh, snap.
He's gonna
That's
he's
what you
gonna put
call a tribe.
he's gonna put together his own basketball team.
There you
Working on
go.
it.
He's been working on it.
As long as they're all involved in sports, I don't think Dre will have a problem with that.
Right?
Right.
He'll be the happy coach.
I think
Hmm.
I don't think feeding will be a problem big. I think school. By the time it's time for them to
Well,
go to
feeding is
school,
a problem. The
that'll be
grocery bills keep going up like they are.
Oh,
what?
dude, we looked at like daycare,
Yeah.
and when they get into daycare, our daycare bill's like $2,500 a month.
Oh
Good
yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
I'm
Dang.
not even
That's
talking about cost. I'm talking about like just what they're learning.
Oh yeah,
The cost will be bad too, but what they're learning will be
but that's
worse than.
but that's our job. See, because when they come home, you ask them what they learned, and then whatever they learn, then you gotta have your influence on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So because they're gonna go out into the world no matter what, and a lot of people are gonna tell them lies, and it's your job to instill in them the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Precisely. Especially with it.
yeah. That's easy when they're young. When they get older is when you have a problem with that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because you could
Yeah,
even
see, my boy, he came home one day and he was like, "Dad, the Earth is round." I'm like, "Nah, bro, the Earth is
Oh
flat."
my Lord. Said, nah, I don't know what that teacher's teaching you.
Just
Teacher's a
kidding.
liar.
I remember when my daughter came home and said, "Mom, we're all made out of monkeys." I said, "No, you're not.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
your
you're
dad's
not.
Exactly.
side." I said, "Maybe your father's side, the cutie side, but not my side." She looked at
Oh,
me. She
Lord.
thought I was crazy. I says, maybe on your father's side, maybe those Cubans are, but you're not.
That's awesome.
She told her dad the minute he walked in the door, "Hey, Dad, is it true that the monkey side comes from your side?" That was funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you guys know that Pope Francis in 2014 affirmed evolution and Darwinism?
What did you just say? We can't hear you,
It sounds
buddy.
like you underwater.
What?
Pope Francis, what?
Hear me now or no?
Yeah,
Yeah,
now we
yeah,
can.
yeah, that's
that's way
better.
better.
Pope Francis in 2014 affirmed Darwinism and evolution and the Big Bang Theory. Can you believe that?
Oh, that doesn't.
Can we
That's
Come on,
believe
put
it?
that aside. That
Yeah,
doesn't
we could
shock
believe.
me.
Yeah,
I can't even believe it, bro. Some of this stuff really surprises me at this point.
yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
understand. There's an agenda, bro. There's an agenda, and Satan knows what he's doing and who he's using to do it.
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
mean, we like it or not. That's pretty much what it boils down to. It's nothing
Man,
should really
forget that
surprise us.
agenda.
It does surprise us, but it shouldn't. I guess it's because we're like, oh, we still can't believe that he's out there doing his little, you know, commanding his
Hey,
minions.
Surprises us because he still tries, even though he's already lost.
yeah,
Exactly.
who cares?
Yeah.
My agenda is better.
Oh my
Forget
lord,
him.
you don't have an
Yeah,
agenda, Flip. What's your
Flip,
agenda?
you
I do.
Let us
Flip,
know.
Flip, his agenda is to learn Hebrew.
His agenda is what? What verse are we on?
Yes. Flip looks scary. Oh,
Flip doesn't
that's
look.
because I'm a ninja.
Just means you
They
mean
call me the
business.
equalizer.
You, Dre, you know that
Equalizer.
organization is on they're having a schism right now between
Yeah.
certain different dioceses and all that. You know that, right?
I, that whole system.
You know that it's coming down. I mean, God is doing what He needs to do. Remember,
I don't know
He's
that it. I don't know that it's coming down anytime soon.
no. I don't mean that particular. When I
What
say
are we
coming
talking about?
down, I don't mean coming down in the sense that the organization itself is coming down. What I mean by coming down is that a lot of the ones that are in it are starting to see the truth and they're starting to remove themselves. Now the system is going to stand. Unfortunately, you know,
Yeah,
I don't think the system is
people
going to
are
come
waking
down
up.
and yeah, I don't think the system itself is going to come. I don't think any of these systems are going to fall apart. I think it's just people are going to come out of them, but they're going to keep moving forward because that's the agenda of the enemy. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But people are coming out of it. That's for, it's like when you read in Revelations chapter 18 where God tells them come out of her. And they will, some will come out of her and some won't, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Which,
Some will come out of the lies and realize the merchandise that they're selling is not the
yeah,
merchandise, it's the lies.
right. Exactly. Exactly.
But that the system is always going to stand, of course, because that's not going to come down until the very end.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he
That's what
stands, when
it's not
the script,
necessarily. Yeah, it's not necessarily up yet.
yeah, the scriptures tell us that when he comes for that 1,000 year millennium, that he's going to rule over all nations and all people,
Yo, what
which has
the
been
heck am I doing?
prophesied. That's when the systems will finally cease,
Can you
come
guys
to
see
a
this?
cease.
What the
Until then,
heck am I
it's not.
looking at here?
But look at that
Oh,
fake sky.
nice.
Where in
Why
the
is there
world
a
do you
line?
live?
What is this? And then it's like
That's all fake,
squiggles,
dude.
squiggles back and
Everything
forth.
that you're looking at is a matrix. It's fake.
And there's the moon. Huh. Interesting. The
I
moon?
thought that was Mars.
In the day? The moon?
Like I
Anyway.
said, it's fake. I knew it.
Anyway. Oh Lord.
I want to know if the Earth is spinning so quickly and so fast. How does it work when they when they shoot the orbits up in the satellites? Do they kind of like go out of control for a little bit before they go into orbit?
I don't know how it works.
Because
I
the
don't think
world
it
spins
does.
fast.
Well,
Is that what helps them? Is that what
They
helps them shoot up into orbit?
You got to take track. You got to take. You got to take
Satellites are on
tracks
balloons.
class on physics. Okay.
Yeah.
it's the pull
Yeah.
of gravity. It's the pull of gravity.
Oh
But see,
Lord.
you got gravity pulling them into the earth, and then you have the spin. I think it's the spin of the earth so fast that helps them go into orbit.
Is this the same gravity that holds gallons of water to our Earth?
Well, I
No,
don't
it's
know
not.
because
It's
I
not.
think
Oh, okay, okay,
No.
okay. I was
yeah,
wrong.
it depends. It depends in the spin because
Yeah.
every time it spins a little bit out of control, that's when you see these massive floods and these massive rains because the water comes out of
It breaks out.
it breaks out.
Bruh.
Gravity didn't hold it in.
Yeah.
The Earth actually spins 89,999 miles per hour, not
Yeah.
90,000.
We're
Yeah.
not even we're unbalanced as it is. If the Earth really spin that fast, can you imagine? We would just be thrown all over the place.
We'd
Once
be stuck
again,
to the Earth.
you guys got to take physics.
Oh, I took physics.
I
I went to
failed in
school for
physics.
engineering.
Hey,
CJ?
I graduated with a
Said I went to school for
3.6.
engineering.
I still walked.
Nice, very nice, brother.
Yes.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
Civil
That
engineer,
was hard.
I
mechanical
went to the
engineer.
other field. I went
No.
to
Did you do electrical, mechanical, or civil engineer?
I had to do mechanical and I was going for design engineering. And then things didn't started not making sense. So I
Oh,
left and went to worship ministry.
oh, my husband was a civil engineer. He was a civil engineer.
Hey Dre,
took mechanical. I took electronical.
But yeah,
Electronical and
that's
mechanical
a lot.
engineering.
It's a
It was
lot.
too much. Yeah, I bailed out too.
Yeah, engineer. You have to love math. You really have to love math to get into that field.
Yeah. Well,
You,
in high
to be
school
good at
I
math.
Come on,
didn't have to try it all for
come on,
math in
Tony.
high school. So I was like, obviously this is what I'm supposed to do. And I
Yeah,
get
you
there
gotta.
and I was like, oh no, this
You
is
have to
not what I'm
really.
supposed to
Yeah,
do.
you have to really love math.
Yeah.
That's a math. Any way you look at it, it's all math.
Yeah.
You gotta really like that math. If you don't like math, man, if math doesn't come easy to you, because you can like it, but it has to come easy to you. Because
I know how to do algebra. It's like x minus squared, right?
I passed algebra 1.
Oh, bruh. I passed pre-algebra. Dude, that class
Oh,
was so easy.
yeah.
well, for
Yeah.
pre-algebra should be easy because all it is the rules and regulations.
Yeah,
You're just learning the
before
rules.
algebra.
That's how you're doing.
Oh, I see.
It's just teaching you the rules. Once you know the rules, it shouldn't be hard.
Yeah,
Also, if you have a good teacher, I mean, I honestly believe that teachers make a big difference in how students learn
that's true.
things. If you have a good
There's
teacher,
no
you have a
more
better
teachers.
chance. You have a
There's
better
only
chance of.
indoctrination people. Ah, do, 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 do.
What is going on?
What is up?
what's up?
What
Come
is
on.
up? I don't know why I'm excited for today, but I'm excited for today.
Well, without further ado, is Linda Johnson in the house?
Yes, she is.
Well, God Almighty. Hold on.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Oh,
How are we doing this morning?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing amazing. Y'all want to hear about it? Y'all want to hear about why I'm doing so amazing?
Why are you doing so? Well, because
Tell
you.
us
Yes.
why. Why are you doing so?
is this some kind of
Uh,
joke setup?
is this some kind of joke? Hold on. Give me a quick second.
Hold on.
Let's see.
Early, I woke him up. He was pissed. I said, I got things to do, young man. Let's go.
He was mad.
Oh, he was mad. Yeah, he started growling. Oh my God.
Hmm? You want to
Who's
sit by
that?
me?
Well, guys, if y'all didn't know, uh,
This is Ryan's mom.
Yeah, if y'all didn't know, our guest today, Linda Johnson. Yes, it is Ryan. Ryan, who we all usually call Big. It is his mother. Um, I met her not too long ago on a call with Ryan, and she made the mistake and spilt some beans. And I said, "You gots to come on the Descaled show so we can make fun of you about something." And she said, "I don't have no problem with that." I was like, "All right." Like, well, you come on. So so Linda was. Now I'm not familiar with any names at all when it comes to the types of nuns. She was apparently two. Let me ask you, Linda, how many different types of nuns are there?
Well, there's in the larger groups, there is the active religious and there's the contemplative religious. The contemplative religious are usually the cloistered ones. And the active religious are the ones that you have social workers, teachers, all kinds of fields. And they work directly with the public. But the cloistered communities, the contemplative orders, they are cloistered, which means that they have no contact with the outside world. We had no television, no radio, no secular publications. We were enclosed on a large amount of acreage, but with a high wall around the entire cloister. And then you have what's called an extern sister, and she lives on the outside of the cloister, and she communicates with the public. So, but then among the active religious, there's hundreds of orders. And among the cloistered or contemplative communities, there's several orders, but not as many as the active religious.
Okay, so you mentioned that you, and I don't know how you word this, or you were two different type of nun. You were one type of nun at one point, and then another type at another, right? What are the names?
Correct, and that's really unusual, because in most cases they don't let you transfer from one order to another. So my situation was very unique, very unusual. When I entered the Franciscans, which was a teaching order, and I entered that community right out of high school, and they just happened to be the order that taught in our parish school. So that's how I got to know them. And so I entered the Franciscans at 18. And the first year, you're called a postulant. And that's pretty basically what it is a trial period, both for you and the community, to see whether they will accept you to go further into vows, or whether they discern that you really don't have a vocation, and then you would leave. Well, once you go through that first year as a postulant, then if both parties agree that you obviously have a vocation, then you receive the religious habit. And that's the clothing that the religious wear, at least when I was in. Now they're in secular clothes. A lot of the active religious wear secular clothes. But at that time, we were in a full habit. And so when you become...
So Linda, do you see the photo that I have of you up on the
Correct.
screen right now? Okay, now,
Yes.
what is that called?
Now, and that photo is me as a Descaled Carmelite.
Oh,
I
okay,
was,
okay.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
different. That's different than
Franciscan.
the first one. Okay, okay.
Correct, correct. Um, so then you, as a novice, then you receive the habit. Only you wear a white veil, and the white veil designates that you're in training. So you have 2 years as a novice, and all of the novices live together with a novice mistress, and you're in training. You learn about the spirit of your order. You also learn about the spiritual life, about prayer. Um, and then after your 2 years as a novice, then you take your first vows. And that's when you receive the black veil, because you're not totally um, a religious until you take your vows. And you take 3 vows, one of poverty, one of chastity, and one of obedience. And I left the Franciscans about 2 months before I would have taken my first vows.
Okay. And then, if you were to tell us like the biggest difference between the Franciscans and the Carmelite, what's the two differences? Like maybe an obvious difference between the two, and I don't mean by looks, but like maybe by
Well,
job.
the biggest difference is as a Franciscan, while I was a novice, I was also going to college, but it was on our premises. Our nuns, we had a college. I was in Portland, Oregon, and we had a private college there. It was called Merrillhurst College, and our sisters taught there. Well, while we were in training, our sisters taught us at our mother house because the postulants and novices did not go to the public college. I mean, to our college. We were taught on the premises. So the biggest difference was the fact that I would have ended up teaching, as opposed to a Carmelite. That is a life of prayer and penance, totally separated from the external world. And so those are the two big differences.
Yeah. So, um, I think I'm not sure if it was you or Ryan. One of y'all said something about, and it might have been the Carmelite. Something about y'all's hair. What are y'all doing with
Oh,
y'all's?
well, when I was talking to you yesterday, you said, Linda, you might be asked some silly questions. And I said, you mean like, do we have hair underneath
Oh yeah.
underneath that veil? And the truth is, no, we had our heads shaved.
Oh.
And,
Oh,
and that,
okay.
yeah, and that was for, well, there's a couple of purposes. Okay. One is hygiene, because if you look at that picture, I'm covered with a linen. That white piece is linen, which is a heavy fabric. And so you sweat underneath that.
I
and so
bet.
and so hygienically, it's you're better off not having hair underneath it. But the other purpose of that is women women tend to express a lot of their vanity through their hair.
Okay. So the option of that is basically taken away then.
Exactly,
Ah.
because the contemplative life, the cloistered life, the life of prayer and penance is designed for your spiritual growth, your relationship with God, and also as an intermediary in prayer and penance for the salvation of the world. So you're and I like your reference to the trot when you use it's in the belly.
Yeah.
Okay. Our external senses, they need to be silenced. They need to be under control in order for the spirit to thrive. And we have different language than your use of the word it's in the belly. Your use of that term in the belly is referring to the senses, the
Yeah.
emotion.
Right. Right.
And so in order for our spirit to thrive and to mature, we need to, and the expression there is discipline or our senses. And so that's what the life is designed for, is removing distractions, putting death to our senses never die. They're with us till we die.
Yeah.
But putting them under control and submissive to the spirit.
Right. So it's like a Basque line of like fasting from everything, just about.
Correct.
Kind of. Yeah.
Correct.
So let me ask you, what year, around what year did this start, this journey to nunhood? Pardon my lingo. I'm doing the best that I can. How old or what year were you? Not how old you were. What year was it? Sorry.
It was in 1964 that I entered, because
Okay.
I graduated from high school in 64 and I entered that fall. I kind of, I debated as to how far back to share my journey. I don't know how far back you want me to go, but my mom was a Polish Catholic and my dad was a Swedish Methodist. So I grew up in a wonderful, spiritual, loving family. There was never an issue over religion in my home. My dad's motto was, I'd rather see a sermon than hear one. And he lived that way.
Okay.
And my mom was a very devout Catholic. We lived in Colorado, and I was a sophomore in high school, and I was dating a boy. That. What?
I said, you're dating a boy. You better not.
I was dating a boy that had a very okay, what am I gonna sexual what do I want?
Appetite.
Yeah. And I had been raised with, very strong values. And I tried to break up with this boy. And because I was beginning to fear that I was going to be raped. And I tried to break up with this boy, and he put it out there that nobody else was going to date me and that I was his property and whatever.
Oh, man.
And I can remember going home that night, or one particular night after a date, so afraid of what might happen to me. And I begged God to keep me safe. And the next day, my dad came home from work and said, I've been transferred to California. I knew at that moment that God knew who I was. He knew me by name. He knew every circumstance of my life. He knew my fears, and he stepped in to rescue me. That was my real beginning of my relationship with God.
Yeah. Okay. And so, all right. So you started the process of nunhood in 1964.
Correct.
And so
Well, I'll tell
obviously,
you. I'll
yeah.
tell you how I got to that decision. After we moved to California, I started going to Mass, daily Mass, because I was so grateful to God for him rescuing me from the situation I was in. And the assistant pastor at our church noticed this young girl coming to Mass every single day. He had never seen her before because I was new. And after about a year, he approached me and asked me if I had ever thought of becoming a religious. And I said no. That was the furthest thing from my mind. But after he presented that to me, I guess he planted a seed, and it started. And like I said, the Franciscans were taught at our church. I mean, our parish school. Well, Father also, the pastor, he also introduced me to the president of the teen club, which ended up being my boyfriend for the next 2 years. So John was a little bit older than I was. And so my senior year, he was at the University of California. So he'd be away for, weeks at a time and come home on the weekends or whatever. And so during that time, I spent a lot of time with the Franciscan sisters. But then when he was home, I was his girlfriend. So
Yeah. Hey, Linda, let me ask you, did you bring this up to your parents? Like, hey, I had some people at church ask me if, so the term is, they're asking me if I want to be religious. That's the term that y'all would use?
No, a religious.
Religious.
Yeah.
Huh.
You often refer to nuns as religious. That's just kind of a lingo that is used rather than saying, referring to, the use of the word sisters, and the use of the word religious. They're all pretty synonymous.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, it got to the point John and I had been dating for about 2 years. We were obviously in love. And at the same time, I was spending a lot of time with the Franciscan sisters. So as I was approaching my graduation, the priest, the assistant pastor who had become my spiritual director, said, Linda, you're going to need to choose one or the other. You can't go forward living both of these. And so he says, you've got to make a decision, especially if you want to enter in September. Well, we ended up having a retreat at church. And it was 2 priests that held this retreat at church. And one of them took the teenagers aside this one particular night. And it was to talk to the teenagers about what's the difference between infatuation and love. And he said, try to imagine that the day that you are getting married, as you're leaving the church and going to the reception, you're in an automobile accident and your new spouse is going to be a paraplegic the rest of his life, would you still marry him, knowing that? And for me, that was because I was really in turmoil over one or the other. What direction was I going? So for me, it was, yes, if that happened to John, absolutely, I would care for him the rest of my life, even though the dreams that I had, the desires for what kind of life I had would all be gone. Would I still go forward and sacrifice my life for the one I loved? And it was, yes, absolutely. That's how much I love him. But the one thing that I wouldn't be able to deal with is if I lost him completely. And that was the moment that I was able to, I made the decision. If I choose God as my spouse in my life, I will never have to be afraid of losing him. So that night, I made the decision that I was going to go into the convent and tell John it was over. So
Yeah.
that, and so Father Bernie said, well, okay, the night of your graduation is going to be the last night that you and John get to be together. Because from that point on, Linda, you have to be totally focused on entering religious life. So the night of my graduation, we went out and drove me home. We sat in the car and cried and held each other and said goodbye. And he said he would wait for me, which he did. So at that was when my decision was made to go into the convent. And then I entered the Franciscans that September, and I went to Portland, Oregon. And there I was for 3 years, and I left before I made my first vows. Now, are you going to ask me why I chose to leave the Franciscans and go to the Carmelites?
Yeah. Well, first, let me ask you this. So, not to jump the gun, but you said that uh, that the guy told you he was going to wait for you, right? Isn't that what you said?
Yes,
Yeah. And what was his name?
John Dean.
Yeah. What do you mean he was going to wait for you and he did? What do you mean by that?
What I mean is, Linda, go and try it, see if it's what you want to do, and I will
Yeah.
wait for you to figure it out.
Okay. So,
And he waited 3 years. When I left the Franciscans, I was able to come home for a week before I entered the Carmelites. Well, he came over that week that I was home, and I was in the full Franciscan habit, and he came to the door. I answered the door, and he said, "Can I give you a hug?" And I said, "Of course." And
oh, I thought you were gonna. Hey, I thought you were gonna sprinkle holy water on him or
no,
something when he came to the door.
no. And
You're
so
gonna be like,
we sat down and talked about it, and he said, "Is this definitely what you want, and is it what God wants for you?" And I said, "Yes." And that was it.
and that was it. No
Yep.
more that, huh?
Pardon me?
I said, there's no more John after that, huh?
No, no.
No. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm trying to mess with my screen. Okay. So at now, what year is it now? At this point,
It's 64. It's when I graduated in, oh,
Okay,
what,
so
you
64.
mean,
Yeah, when old John came to the door and you shoot him away with
oh,
holy
oh,
water,
oh,
what year
oh.
was that?
That was let's see, 64. That was about 67, I guess.
And I gotta ask. Okay, now I know I told you probably might get some weird questions. I didn't say it wasn't going to be me that was going to ask them or not. I just said it was possible that you can get some questions that may seem off the rocker. So I'm gonna ask, and maybe it's
Go
because
for it.
I'm old. Maybe it's because I'm old enough to put two and two together here. But oh, I mean, how do you word that? Like, okay,
Spit
so
it out.
yeah, I'm gonna spit it out. So, like, the show Flying Nun was out about this time. So, did you see yourself like as a flying nun, or did you have anybody ask you about that show that came out when you were a nun at the time?
No, actually, what show was out at that
What?
time was The Sound of Music.
Oh my lord!
Yes.
Even better.
It was The Sound of Music, and I went to that movie and I cried through the whole thing
Yeah,
because that was me.
because that was you. Yeah. So let me ask you. I mean, you may not know, but so like the photo that we have up here, and we'll go over some more photos, and maybe you can talk us through them. But so this photo that we have up here of you, it's kind of similar to the clothing, the flying nun. Do you know anything about that show?
No, I don't.
You don't? I thought maybe
No.
you could tell us what they were wearing. Oh, but yeah, the Sound of Music. Yeah, that's funny. So okay, old Johnny comes and you sprinkle him with some holy water and tell him to go in peace and be on his way. And so now we go back to I don't know, your duty station or whatnot. I don't know what y'all call that, but so you go back to the
So I enter the Franciscans.
right, Franciscans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I go to the Franciscans and to be honest with you, I really had a hard time. As my parents were driving me to Portland the day I entered, I cried all the way, and my dad pulled over and he goes, "Why are we going if you're crying the whole way?" He says, "Do you want to do this or don't you?" And
Well, you would figure after 3 years. So well, that's a good question. So look, I'm sure we can all use our imagination, and everybody would give so many different reasons on why you're crying. So why all the tears at this point? What's going on?
because I guess, in the past, people used to think, oh, this is a little girl that always wanted to be a nun, and, whatever. But I was such a normal, typical teenager. I mean, it wasn't like becoming a religious was something I had dreamed of my whole life. Um, I I was so normal. I fell in love. I wanted to get married, but the thing is that obviously I told you what allowed me to make my decision was I didn't feel I could lose. I didn't want to lose the person I loved, but
Yeah.
also the thing was God's will. I knew that if this was God's will for me, even if I chose something else, I would never be happy, not unless I chose God's will. And
Okay.
this seemed to indicate that this was his will for me. And of course, the breakup with John, there was real love there. The saying goodbye to my family, everything, that I knew. Yeah, it was a struggle. It wasn't excitement. It was a struggle. to embrace God's will. And I can remember feeling like, you know, during my training and whenever, feeling like I was far too selfish to be living this kind of life. And I can remember saying to a priest at one time I said, I'm too selfish to be living this life. And I think back on all the things that I used to love and whatever, and can't do them anymore. And he said to me, he said, do you think when your mom and dad married each other, they loved themselves more than they loved each other? And he says it takes a lifetime to learn how to love unselfishly. So don't be so hard on yourself. God will take care of that selfishness for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And
Yeah.
so that's, I have to admit, it was a struggle.
Yeah. Okay. So your pops is driving you to, I guess your nearest location, like back to your, where's he taking
Well,
you exactly?
it was in Portland, Oregon. That's where the mother house was for the Franciscans. So that's where I entered and I went through my training.
Yeah. And so so when you first get there, do they shave your head immediately, or?
Oh, no, not because you're just, you're in a trial time. So no, we
Oh,
had
okay.
a full head of hair. Yeah,
Okay. So all
even
right. So hold on. Okay. So let me say this. So when you were going through the Franciscan, so this is the Franciscan phase here. This is
correct,
not transitioning to Carmel. Okay.
correct,
Right. I'm with you.
correct. Yeah. So, are we at the point where you want to know why I left the
What?
Franciscans?
Well, how long were you with the Franciscans? Let me ask that.
It was almost 3 years. I
Okay.
left.
Okay. So
I left about 2 months before I would have made my first vows.
okay. Let me see. I keep seeing this. Let me see. Let's see. All right. Yeah. So, and you're basically at 3 years right here, right? I mean, your dad's driving you back to this place, but you're kind of already at your 3 years. So I'm
No,
guessing when you
no,
get,
no, no,
no.
no. My mom and dad were taking me to enter the Franciscans at the very beginning.
Oh, at the very beginning. Okay. All right. I see. You're kind of going back. So, okay. So you do this for 3 years, and yeah, so there's a transition from
Correct.
Franciscan to Carmelite. So yeah, now let me ask you: do both Franciscans and Carmelites shave their head? I don't know. I don't know if they.
Um, well, in those days, we did. But
Okay.
today they're just wearing little veils on top of their heads and their hair's all, you know,
Okay.
the
So when you transition from the Franciscans to Carmelite, you already had your head shaved,
no, not yet.
or
No.
no, not yet. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You keep making it sound like there's this story that we just have to hear about from this transition. So yeah, tell us about the transition. Like, why did you go from Franciscan to a Carmelite? Yeah.
All righty.
Hold on.
Now,
Let me throw. Hold on. Let me throw an answer. Matter of fact, if somebody wants to take a guess, I would like to. Okay. Look. Let me just say this, because at this point, you're still young. You're not a what would be considered an old person at this time. So, what did you have some like some locker room beef with one of your nun friends or something like? Don't tell me that hey, don't tell me that somebody started dating John and you got it ruffled your feathers and they had to separate y'all.
No, not even close.
I had to take
Not
a
even.
stab at something. I had to take a stab at it.
Okay, now this I am probably sharing, well, not probably. I am sharing with you right now one of the most intimate parts of my spiritual life. Um, after this is okay. I'm with the Franciscans, and after our evening meal, we would go to our chapel and have a half hour of prayer before we gathered for recreation. Okay, and it was during this half hour of prayer that I experienced a mystical experience. And what I'll describe it the best way I can. During the time of prayer, it became more, and the intensity of the prayer became more and more and more intense, to the point that everything around me was blocked out. And a light appeared to my left. And this intensity became so strong that it felt like if it didn't stop, my soul was going to leave my body. And at that point, from this bright light to my left, I heard the words, "You are to go to Carmel. I will lead the way." And at that point, and I knew that in that light was the presence of the Trinity. I could feel, I could experience the separation of the Father, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. And I don't know how long it lasted, but the novice mistress who sat in the back of the chapel, she came up to me and she said, "Sister, you don't have to come to recreation until you're ready." So obviously, externally, there was also an indication to her that something had happened to me. And after that light disappeared, then I had a need to write. And I wrote without thinking. I wrote without knowing what I was writing. And I wrote and I wrote, but what I was writing was being told to me. And this is where, if I can interject here, this is where I experienced, we have interior senses as well. Not only external senses, but our soul has senses. Okay? And in the progression of your spiritual development, the life of faith goes even beyond the senses of the soul to pure dark faith. Do you follow me, Trot?
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I'm trying not to interject all my funny stuff when I feel like
Okay.
you're being serious. So I'm just waiting for my window.
Okay. Well, So anyway, when I finished writing this, what I realized what I had written was I was being told about the nature of God the Father, and I was writing about his nature. I also had the presence of Jesus at my side, and all my senses, not external because I didn't see anything with my external eyes. I did not hear anything with my external ears. It was all interior. And so I knew Jesus was at my side, just as if you were at my side right now, but I wasn't looking at you. I was aware you were there. And so at the point where I was able to get up and leave, I went into my superior and I said, I don't know why I wrote this. I don't know what it's for, but here I'm giving it to you. And then she said to me, she said, Sister, can you explain to me what happened? And so I did. And I
Right.
said, I was told I am to go to Carmel and God would show the way. So from that point on, was a journey of about, I would probably say, 2 months, where Sister said to me, she says, now we've got to get someone in here that understands what's happened to you, and it needs to be examined as to whether it's authentic or whether this is, you know,
Oh,
uh,
so we got to take it to the high order here.
correct.
Yeah.
And so what they did was they contacted my spiritual director from before I entered, Father Bernie, who I had mentioned to you before. They contacted him. He came out. And then he contacted a Carmelite priest who has specialized in discerning mystical experiences, and they brought him in. As a result of what I was totally naive as to what took place. And I thought, gee, if something is wrong with me, help me out. I mean, make me better. Because it was like this could be genuinely from God. It could be an act of the devil, or it could be psychological imbalance. And
Right.
we have to discern what this is, what is going on. And my reaction to that was, yes, find out what's wrong with me. I don't want to be sick if I'm mixed up. And
Right.
so I was sent to a psychiatrist. I was put through tests. Everything came out normal.
Hold on. Whoa, hold on a second. You're put through tests. Like, okay, just give me like one example of what do you
Just,
mean they?
just the psychiatrist putting me through mental tests, to see if I was mentally healthy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I got a clean bill of health all the way around. And the thing is that there were so many pieces to this. And the way you discern spiritual phenomena, and particularly in this situation where I was told to do something, it's pretty much I don't want to compare myself, compare this to scripture, but it is true. If there for um well, I'm just at a moment of loss of words. When something is prophesied, and this is the way in the Bible as well. When there's a prophecy, it happens exactly like it was prophesied. If it isn't, it's not true.
Right.
So this is what they were trying to discern. So what they all did was act as the devil's advocate. Because if we act as the devil's advocate, and this is really from God, it's going to happen anyway. Nothing can interfere with it.
Okay.
And so the Carmelite priest who was called in to discern said, tell her to stay where she is. Okay. And then Father Bernie, he went back to California and he went around to a variety of monasteries, telling them about what happened and asking them if they would take me. And of course, reasons were no, we do not take transfers from other orders. Another one was no, this could be really a young lady with problems. We don't want her. And so I was turned down by about three different monasteries. And I had no contact with them whatsoever. This was always through a second party. And so then Father Bernie went to the monastery in Carmel and talked to Reverend Mother there, and she said, yes, we would be interested in taking her. So anyway, and the Mother General of the Franciscans, her comment was, yes, she can go, but if they don't take her, we don't want her back.
Oh, really? So hold on, whoa. So if they don't take her, we don't want her back. So it's kind of
Correct.
like like if you're going to be shipped off over there, and if it doesn't work out, you can't come back, basically.
Correct.
Huh. Okay.
Correct. So, in other words, all these things were meant to test the spirit.
Okay.
And
Now,
so,
did you know that? Did they tell you all this, or did you find this out later, or did you know like?
no, they told me these things along the way. Now,
Okay.
during this whole process, again, Jesus was at my side all the time. All the time. He monopolized my consciousness so much that I would say to him, because I was still in college and I wasn't a brilliant woman. I was an average student and I had to work at my studies. And I would say to him, you've got to free my mind. I can't do my work if you don't free my mind. And he would always say to me, be still and know that I am God. I pulled the best grades I had ever had during that period of time. I didn't have to sleep. At night when we went to bed, I just laid there in his presence, conscious of his presence. I had no appetite for food. He was his presence was all encompassing. And when I would start to get frightened or worried, and he would just repeat, "Be still and know that I am God." Well, bottom line is I had to leave and go to an interview with the Carmelite monastery in Carmel. After the interview, Reverend Mother said, "Yes, we will take her." So then I went back to the Franciscans, packed my things. They let me go home for a week before I entered the Carmelites. And once you enter a Carmelite monastery, you never leave. You live your entire life in the monastery that you enter. Okay?
Okay. Hey, yeah, Linda, let me ask you this. And of course, just understand I'm asking from a stance of ignorance, obviously. So, I understand the experience you had. I'm not trying to take the experience away. So I may use words that are 100% not true to your experience, but I'm trying to use words so everybody can understand what it is I'm asking, and so you can understand. So,
Sure.
what are the options here? Okay, so you are a tell me the type of nun you are at the moment again. How do you say it? How do you say it?
Franciscan.
Okay, Franciscan. Okay, so
Yeah.
from there, what are the options? You got Carmelite. Are there other options as well? And I'm using the word option just so everyone understands. If there's,
Sure. No, there's many options.
like, how
I
many? Like,
mean,
ballpark. How many more would you say? 5 more, 7 more? What? How many more?
are you talking about of all religious orders, or are you talking about just contemplative orders?
Okay, well, let me ask you this: from Franciscan to Carmelite, obviously there's a difference there between the
A
two,
big
right? So,
difference.
right. So how many more of those kind of steps are there? Like, you know, I don't, you have to understand. I don't understand how to ask the question.
Sure.
So help me out
Well,
here.
in categories, it's back to in categories, there's active religious and there's the cloistered contemplative religious. Those are your
Yeah,
two, your two
no, I
big
get that, but
categories.
give me a number here. Like, help me out. How many different options are there from where you're at? 10, 5? Like, ballpark me a number.
Well, there's hundreds. There's literally
Okay.
hundreds
Whoa.
of active,
Hundreds.
of
Oh
active
my
orders.
lord.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. And every one of them has a different name.
Yep.
Okay, wait. Hold on a second. Hold on. Just get. Hold on a second. Hold on. Whoa. Let's time out. Okay, wait. Okay, so. Oh
I
Lord.
mean,
All right.
there's Franciscans, there's Dominicans, there's Jesuits, there's there's Sisters of Loretta. It goes on and on and on. Those are
Okay. Now.
active.
All right. Now.
Those are
Okay. So
active
is all this
communities.
based? Okay.
Go
Is
ahead.
all this based on Is all this based on geographical location? So, like, if you're in America and Oregon, it's called this. If you're in
No,
Texas, it's called this. Like, no.
no.
What is the purpose of all the different names? Like, tell me. Use English words. Like, what are these words really meaning?
Okay, like for
So, if
instance,
you're a friend, if you're a Franciscan, tell me what is that like in one sentence or in 2 or 3 words? What is that?
it's a community based on the spirit of Saint Francis.
Wait. So these are all based on saints.
Correct. So,
Oh.
the Dominicans were based off of Saint Dominic, who was a teacher. The Jesuits, they
So these are like
usually.
okay. So these are like tribes. I mean, if you want to be fair,
Sure.
right? If you want to be fair, like if we want to break it down in a term that someone animalistic like myself could understand what it is you're coming from. So like these are like tribes, the tribes of the Jebusites or the tribes of the
Sure.
friends. Okay, I get it. So that's why there's hundreds, because there's plenty of, I guess, saints historically, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so the Carmelite one, that's the same. That's Saint Carmelite or Saint Carmel or what?
No, it was the Carmelites were founded in Spain in the 16th century, and it was the spirit of the Carmelites is based on Saint Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross, who were two of the greatest mystics in the church, and that's what their spirit is based on.
Okay, so let me ask this, and again, bear with me here,
So,
just so people can get it. What's up? What's up? Somebody's trying to say
real
something?
quick. Yeah,
Yeah.
real quick. I just looked this up, and it's like 9 most known religious orders in the Catholic Church is the Franciscans, the Carthusians, the Jesuits, the Benedictines, the Salesians, the Missionary of Charity.
Salesians.
Oh, I know I'm butchering this, sis, all the
That's
way.
okay.
Missionaries of Charity, Dominicans, Augustinians, and Carmelites.
Okay, so all right,
And there's others, but those are the largest.
all right. So let me ask this, and again, I clearly, my question is going to come off as very vain and westernized, right? So I'm just bear with me here. So, all right, how do I say this? Okay, so, all right, well, I'll just do it a way that I know. Okay, so are there like categories? And again, this is going to come off very vainish, if you want to say that, but so are there like different tiers, like tier 3 and then there's like a tier 1, like nun housing place or whatnot, like which one is considered like, okay, so you got like basic infantrymen.
Prestige, right? You're talking about like the prestigious. Do they have like
Yeah,
more
yeah, there
prestigious
you go.
nuns than others?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Well,
prestige. Is there like a Ivy League nunship, if you will?
okay. In a monastery, you have a monastery will have as many as 25 nuns. You have a mother superior, and she is the one that runs the boat.
Okay, yeah. So that's the way I'm asking. I'm asking such a weird, awkward way. Forgive me. I'm not talking about rank. I'm saying out of all the hundreds of places, we'll call them houses, right? We'll just turn them all into football teams or something. Like, just so everybody can get an idea, is one of these, and somebody said the word lineage. Who was that? That was INS, basic infantrymen living in the dirt. Yeah, well, that's my point. Yeah, so this guy a while ago, clearly he either used to be Catholic or something, because he was saying that each one of those Franciscan or Carmelite, each one of them is like a lineage, like a from the lineage of this person. So is there one of them that everybody wants to be part of? Is there a certain house or lineage from a saint or whatnot that people want to be known for being, how do you say, being there? Like, so we have colleges, right, in America.
Sure. Is it a Princeton or is it a community college?
Yeah, so right, exactly. So obviously, if there's hundreds, there are some that are considered community college, and there are some Ivy Leagues. Like, which one would you say that is considered, and again, I understand it's vanity, it shouldn't matter. I get that, but I'm still asking because I'm just saying that it's still going to happen in some people's minds. Okay,
It
not
is still going to happen, even, yes,
yeah,
absolutely. And the thing is that there's always been a little bit of tension between active religious and contemplative or
yeah.
cloistered religious, assuming that the cloistered nuns are, um, uh, let's just say, more spiritually mature.
Oh, okay. Hold on. So what you're telling me is there's blue coats and white coats, and the blue coats don't sit with the white coats, right?
It's in that business. That business is from the belly.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay,
But I mean, people are people. I mean,
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, you're not gonna. Yeah, nobody's gonna fool me. Yeah, people are still people. So let me ask you this. So, were you going from a community college to Ivy League, or were you just going from one Ivy League to another, from the Franciscan to the Carmelite? I'm just trying to get an idea of what kind of.
I was probably, I guess in layman's terms, you could say going from a community college to an Ivy League. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, again, I'm only asking so we can all visualize.
I guess you would look at the contemplative communities, nuns, as the spiritual giants in the church,
Oh, okay.
if you want to
Right.
put it in those terms.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's okay. It's okay to put them in those terms because the majority of us, probably 99.9% of us listening, we don't understand the other terms. So if you keep talking to us in proper Catholic terms, we're lost the whole time. So, that's why I'm asking in
Sure.
this very different way. But it's no big deal. Okay, so yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm glad I asked because I was a little confused on how many. Flip, really? That's for a different live. Can somebody poke Flip and tell him to put a? I'm gonna put Jar Jar Binks on there right now. Um. So okay. So you've been
By the way,
told.
Trot, let me
Oh,
just
yeah.
interject real quick.
Yeah. Go
So,
ahead.
sister, I actually been to the Franciscan Retreat Center in Colorado Springs. I believe that's where you were at, right? The one in Colorado Springs.
No, no, no. I was in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay. I thought you mentioned Colorado at one point because I know there's
Well,
a Franciscan order.
I lived in Colorado at one time.
Yeah, because there is a Franciscan order in Colorado Springs, and we had like a men's retreat there one time with a different
Yep,
ministry. I went there, and I was like, it's very beautiful. A little
yep.
scary to me, but it's beautiful otherwise.
Well, and what you have to understand too is, um, right now we're just talking about women, but there's Carmelite priests, Carmelite brothers, Franciscan priests, Franciscan brothers. Um, of every order of women, there are orders of men.
You're still available to go.
Yeah, I'm still available. To what?
You're, you're still within the age range. You can go be a Carmelite priest.
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
No,
Man,
you already got married. You can't. It's
nah,
too late.
Bubba. Nah, I'd shut those places down by talking about Jesus.
So dumb.
So,
Oh dear. Well, Trot, I'm not finished learning by all means. I feel like I'm learning right now about biblical Christianity, and I say to myself, why did it take me so long?
yeah, no, we'll get to that for sure. I was gonna ask. So okay, so you get accepted to Ivy League now. So you get like I'm pretty sure a nice sweater with with the letter, a capital letter C. Hold on a second.
How am I doing?
My mom, I can actually put a picture of her up in a minute. She was on her way to be a nun. She wanted to be a nun. But then my daddy came along. He had so much game that he just tricked her into not going into the nunnery. Hey, my dad's middle name is Jesus, so I think she still picked Jesus in a way.
Oh, man.
His middle name is Jesus.
Yo, Dre. Why do you think I'm here, man? My dad had a lot of game too, bro.
Look, I'm gonna put a picture up of my mom. Watch. Give me a second so you can see. Give me a moment. Let me open my camera up here.
This is Dre.
Let me see. She was so pretty, but I'm glad she didn't do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Never say never, bro. I'm a miracle too.
Yep. You might as well call me Abraham. You might as well call me Isaac. There's my mom.
Hey, there.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Well, she was. I'm joking. I'm just messing. I got another picture, but I can't fit it in here. It's like too big. Let me see. There was another one where she has like her rosary and all that stuff. Where is it? My grandmother was a devout Catholic. Oh my goodness, she was a devout Catholic. My mom actually met. My mom became Protestant at like 13. She went to a church, and she said like her experience was completely different. And at that point, she like basically, if you want to say, converted to Protestantism. And from there, like she never looked back to the Catholic Church. She started reading the Bible and realized that a lot of the stuff that was being said wasn't didn't agree with the Bible, and she kind of caught that at a young age. Thank God. And my dad was actually a heathen. He's a Jewish heathen. So my mom had to convert him. So now he claims to be Messianic. But I grew up in like my whole life they've been Christians. But that's my mom right there. You can't really see her face, but that's it.
She looks like she's in a religious habit.
Yeah. She was definitely. I think that was her first communion. I think they do first communion.
Oh,
With little
okay.
girls. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she actually became a born again Christian at like 13 years old, and obviously later on she met my dad, and my dad is Jewish, and basically he was rebelling against the gospel for a while, and then my grandfather, his dad, became a born kind of like an experience like you in a sense, like a very supernatural experience that changed his mind to believe that Jesus was God. And then that was like back in the 80s, 1980. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even born yet. I think I was born in 82. So I grew up, by the time I was born, they were already both, my mom and dad both became ordained ministers with the
Oh,
Assemblies of God.
wow.
84, I want to say. So 84,
Oh,
85, something like that. So I pretty much grew up in church my whole life. I don't know no different. Oh,
wonderful.
I think Trot might be back. Hey, Net, you look like your mama, bro. That looks like you right there with that hijab on, bro. Real talk.
No, the Java.
He
Yeah,
said
bro.
hijaba. Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we
All
can hear you
right. My
now.
bad. Um. Yeah. Okay. So. All right. So you get accepted to Ivy League. Now obviously you have your your Ivy League sweater on. You got the thick letter C on there. You're a Carmelite now. You don't have the F on your sweater, and so you show up to this place, and it is I'm just kind of assuming that some of the women there are maybe confused on why you're there and where you came from, and I'm going to guess that there were some women that disliked you immediately, and there were others that did like you. Can you kind of tell us how that went your first few weeks there, I guess?
Um, well, First of all, you have to understand the way this life is lived. You're actually living as hermits in community. So you don't talk, okay? You're not mixing among each. I mean, you have your bedroom is called your cell. Each sister has her own cell, and it's about an 8 by 10 room.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Did you say your room is okay? Can you spell the word you're saying? It's called a what?
CELL.
It's called a cell.
Yes. Now today it may be different, but these are monastic terms.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
what I'm getting at, and I'm still trying to answer your question, but what I'm getting at is it's not like you're just in with a bunch of women and you work together, you talk, you are living as hermits in community. So
Well, let me. Hey, just so I can paint. This is my fault because I tried to look up the lifestyle, just so I could be a little prepared. But some of the things just didn't stick out enough to me. So, but there was a question I was going to ask. I probably should have asked it when you were with the Franciscan tribe over there. But let me ask you this right now. Can you just, real quick, tell us when you wake up? And that's fine. We're at the Carmelite now. Okay. We can leave the Franciscans alone right now, but the Carmelite life, can you just tell us real quick before we continue on with your journey there, what it's like on a daily basis? Can you just run through us one day? And I understand there may be some different days, but a typical day, so we can understand what you mean by a hermit life. Like I could figure out in a way what that's like, but I think it'd be better if you kind of just gave it to us, I guess every hour or every 2 hours when you get up during a typical day.
Okay, like for instance, when you get up in the morning, and you've got to make allowance for my memory. I'm 77 years old now, and my memory isn't top notch. But
No, you're good.
when you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is the nuns all meet in choir, and choir is the term for their chapel. And it's designed in a specific way. It's designed with a row of seats on each side, or benches on each side facing each other. And then in the center is a large floor. There's no furniture on it. And this is where the nuns gather to chant the divine office. And the divine office is the official prayer of the church, which ordained priests, they are required to say the divine office. And cloistered men and women are also obligated to say the divine office. Now, the divine office is a compilation of readings from the
Hey,
scriptures.
hey, Linda, when you say cloistered, you mean people that are secluded from the world. Is that right? Is that what you mean by cloistered?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And so the divine office is a compilation of readings from the scriptures, both Old Testament and New Testament, as well as the Psalms, all the Psalms. So the nun's life is divided up by the hours of the divine office. When you wake up in the morning, you go to choir, and the first hour of the divine office is called Laud, Laud, and that's Latin. and it's for the first prayer of the day. And so you come together and you chant the first hour of the divine office. And then after that's finished, then you would all go to you'd go for breakfast. And mind you, as far as food goes, we didn't eat meat or poultry. We were always on a fast, meaning that our food was portioned out to us. Like for breakfast, it was just coffee and bread. So then
Hey, Linda, somebody asked, how about matins? What is that? Matins.
matins, matins, is you wake up in the middle of the night. And
Okay, hold on. So this question is later in the day or later at night.
Correct. It's another
Okay,
one of
okay.
it's another
Okay,
one
so
of the
I'm jumping the gun. I'm jumping the gun. I'm sorry. Okay,
Okay.
so it's taken us out of clarity. So go ahead and just pick up where you were at.
Okay, so you've eaten breakfast, you've had your coffee and bread, and then you go to the work that you've been assigned. Okay. One of the sisters is a cook. One of the sisters makes habits, the clothing that the nuns wear. Another sister takes care of the laundry. Another sister answers mail. And you're each given a job, and you do that job separately from everybody else. You are alone doing that job. So one of my jobs was I was the sacristan, which meant that I took care of all the preparations for the saying of Mass, the vestments that the priests wore. I took care of the candles, anything that had anything to do with the Mass. So that was my job. So I had a special area that I worked in, and I was by myself. As the cook cooks by herself, the one that makes the habits sews by herself. Everybody does their work separate and alone. So then after that time of working,
Hey,
then
Linda,
correct.
Linda, what's the purpose for everybody working alone?
It's the solitude, the solitude and the silence.
Okay.
All is designed for communing with God.
Okay, I see.
It's
Okay,
it's
I'm just
it's a
yeah, I'm just
lifestyle which eliminates as many distractions of life as possible.
Hey, Trot.
yeah.
So just think of the
Yeah.
monastery as Tatooine, and there's a bunch of Obi-Wan Kenobis living on the outskirts.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's what it is.
100%.
Yeah.
And they're all by them.
Everybody's
Yeah,
Yoda.
Yep, they're all by themselves to focus on the Force.
To focus on the Force.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
That's
I get
perfect.
it.
Just to put it in layman's terms, bro. Put it in terms.
She said, that's perfect. Oh Lord, okay. So y'all are secluded from like not just the world, but you're secluded even from your
Each other.
Even from each other, right? Y'all are all part of this, this Ivy League group, and so, well, God, that kills a question. I was going to ask, like, all the, because you said that there was like, hundreds of like lineages or houses. I was going to ask you, like, y'all didn't play volleyball? Like, that would have been some major competition. If all y'all had like a team, like, man, it'd be like never ending. Like, there's so many teams.
Have your own league.
Yeah, have your own league. I mean, y'all could probably, knit together y'all's knee pads. I mean, y'all can make y'all's own gear.
Yeah, we could. You betcha.
They'd be the Carmelite Crusaders, man.
Exactly, the Carmelite Crusaders. Yeah, man. And then like y'all's halftime, y'all like put on the armor of God in front of everybody, and then just kind of go sit back down. All right. Okay. So you were talking about your specific job.
Oh, I got a faulty memory here. I got to insert that after in the morning when you come down to choir and you chant the logs, then after the logs, you have an hour of prayer before you go to breakfast. I forgot to insert that. You have an hour of prayer.
So you go basically, you go from one prayer to another prayer, pretty much.
Well, your hour of prayer is your private prayer. It's and and all the nuns are still in the choir, but together, but each is having their hour of prayer. Then after that, then you go to breakfast, then you go to work, and then you come to choir again and you chant another part of the divine office. And then you go to lunch.
Linda, somebody's asking about morning mass.
Oh yeah, I forgot that too.
Hey,
gee,
so
I need this. I need all this community to keep my memory on track.
Yeah. Hey, Linda, let me ask you real quick. Linda. Just real. Do what?
So you're making Linda look back.
That's all right. Yeah. That's all right. She's not intensely looking back. It's okay.
Yeah.
She's not intensely looking back. Okay. All right. So, just so there's a better context here, and you don't have to give me the perfect year. It's irrelevant. But just give us a year. Would you say was the last year that you did any of this? Just a ballpark. It doesn't have to be a perfect number or a perfect year.
The last year you were a Carmelite.
Just say around what year?
70. Let's see.
No, ballpark us, Linda. We don't need the exact year.
76.
76, roughly.
All right, we'll say 76. Okay, 76. So look, I was born in 1980. I'm 40 years old.
Okay.
Well, 42 years old. So this happened over 40 years ago. So for anyone in here confused on why she doesn't remember these things step by step, this was over 40 years ago. I just want to clarify.
Thank you.
Someone, I can just tell that some people are thinking that you stopped doing this yesterday. This was over 40 years ago. God, everybody put your red pen down. Calm down.
Yeah, anyway. I've got a son as old as you, Trot.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
so then let me the progression then is the first hour of the office, an hour of prayer, then mass, then breakfast, then your work, then you get a call back, and it's all by a bell. We had a big bell in the tower, and that tower bell would ring, and you'd go back to chapel for the next part of the divine office. And then we would have lunch. And then after lunch, we would and during your meals, you have one of the nuns is reading out of a book. Maybe it's a life of a saint. Maybe it could be anything in the spiritual realm. But so there's reading while you're eating your meal. Okay, you're not conversing with each other or anything.
Hey, Linda, did y'all whistle while y'all worked?
If you did, nobody heard you because you were by yourself.
Okay, how far away from each other are we talking here? Are y'all like 100, 200 feet from each other? Or...
Oh, the monastery's huge. The monasteries are huge. Yeah, there's.
So how far would you say you were from the nearest person?
Oh, I mean, it's, you've got a variety of rooms, but the thing that you realize too is that nobody's talking, nobody's making noise,
Wow.
So Trot, those two pictures of the two buildings. Those were the two buildings. Those were the two buildings she was at. Those were the two monasteries she was at.
Yeah, let me put one of them up. Which one is this?
That's the Franciscan one. Or no, that's Carmel, isn't it?
No, let your mom tell us, Ned.
That's San Diego.
Oh, we haven't.
Okay, so which one is that?
That's the same one.
No, which one is that? Is that the Friends or the Carmelites?
Oh no, this is Carmelites. This is Carmelites.
Okay, so the one on the mountain is Carmelite.
Correct.
Okay, so let's see. So this one,
and
them pictures.
Okay, this is the Carmelite monastery that I entered at the beginning. This is in Carmel, California, and right across the highway, there's Highway 2 in front of it. Right across the highway is the ocean. And the monasteries were built like the old missions, and so they're kind of clay, and then I told Ryan, the enclosure, that's the whole area that is available to the cloistered nuns. Our enclosure went up the hill in back of the monastery. And I used to go up there on Sunday afternoons, and to the right of the monastery was a polo field. And I used to go up in the Sunday afternoon and sit on the hill and watch the polo matches.
Oh my Lord! Then you had to go back to the monastery and do like 47,000 Hail Marys to make sure that you didn't.
Yeah, see, she was a naughty nun.
Yeah, you're a naughty nun, man.
No, I didn't. I didn't leave. I didn't leave the enclosure.
So you couldn't go to the.
Yeah, at that time you were thanking God for 20/20 vision. I bet those older yuns are like, man, I remember when I used to see them being able to play. I can only listen now. Can't see it anymore.
So you can see the ocean, but you can't.
Oh, the days.
Well, I will tell you, because of our location, we had Neil Diamond put out a movie called Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and it was filmed out in front of this monastery on the beach. And we actually housed some of the crew for the filming of that movie. So,
did y'all have to baptize them before they went in that building?
Oh no. No. We didn't have anything to do with them.
Hey, Trot, they paid indulgences, bro.
You should have told them they were on holy ground. What, Dre?
Oh, I think
was pay indulgences, bro.
Huh? I can't hear you, man.
I can sure tell you're exposed to Catholicism.
The dude was pay indulgences, man. As long as
indulgences.
Yeah. Making payment for others, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so All right, where are we at exactly?
We're
Oh, I
we're
tell you
we're
what,
we're,
real
work, we're
quick,
working.
let's
We're working.
No, so then after
yeah,
lunch,
hold on,
then we
hold on
have.
a second, hold on a second. Hey, Linda, let me do something. I should have done this a few minutes ago, but I forgot. Let me run through some of these pictures and just take just just a few, not too long on each one of them, but just kind of explain what's happening in each one of these pictures. Like just kind of, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to remember that the majority of people listening, they don't understand what they're looking at in the picture. So
Sure.
you can just kind of go through the picture. Okay.
Sure.
So tell us about this picture right here. Like
Okay,
what
that
would a normal, hold on a second. Let me say this. What would a normal person not recognize looking at this picture?
well, they're probably wondering why I'm in so many layers of clothes. And the other thing is, what is this crisscross design in front of me?
Okay.
The answer to both is that was my profession day. That was the day I took my solemn vows. So, I was in what is called, when you have a visitor, you go into what is called the speak room, SPEAK, and it's where you visit with someone. Now, the crisscross lines that you see are actually wire, and they
Okay.
in the monastic terms, they're referred to as a grate, and the purpose of it is the showing of separation from the world. Okay. It also
Oh.
prevents you from any physical contact. So,
Okay,
and
hold on a second. Hold on. So you're telling me like on weekends you had visitation, like jail people? Is that what you're telling me? Like you're in a visitation room or something?
that's exactly what I'm saying. But
Oh, okay.
your visits, you didn't have visiting every weekend. You maybe had
Oh,
maybe your parents could come and visit you once a month. I don't really remember what the extended amount of time was between visits, but it was in a
right.
room. And so when my parents would come to visit me, they would be on the other side of this grate.
Ah, I see.
See.
Huh. Yeah,
And
okay. So what are you holding there? Are you holding something in your hand, or it just looks like you're holding something? I can't really tell.
I'm holding a candle.
Oh, a candle. Okay.
Yeah.
Why would you be holding a candle?
It was part of the ceremony. It
Oh,
was
okay, I
part of
get
the
it.
ceremony. I can't remember
Okay.
specifically what it was just part of the
Yeah, no,
ceremony.
that's fine. Okay, so this picture here is just like, is this your hour of you time? Is this where you finally get to sit down and 1 hour out of 23 hours, or what?
Um,
What is this here?
yes, this was probably, now each of us also had our own hermitage, and it was a little area out in the outside where we could go to read or pray or on our free time. This was my hermitage. And if you're, so yeah, I was sitting in my hermitage. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so so your hermitage is uh like your little space where you could. What's the point of that?
Well, you have to keep in mind, everything is to keep us alone. Okay, keep us as hermits.
Yeah.
So this is a way where we each had a hermitage so we could be outside and still have our private area to read, to
Oh, so,
pray.
Yard time,
So
Trot.
this is
Yard time.
this is an
Yard time.
outside. So this is an outside cottage or something.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
it was probably a little framed area, maybe 4 by 6.
Okay. So it's like when you're in jail, those people have recreation. So it's like it's rec time.
That's
Y'all
what they call
play
it.
handball out. Y'all didn't play handball or like play anything out there. You just sat there in your chair.
And well, no, this isn't recreation. This would have been
Oh.
probably my own free time, but recreation, we had a recreation room, okay, where we all gathered after lunch, and we would play games, or you'd crochet or knit, or you'd just sit there and talk. It was a half hour for communicating with your fellow religious, your fellow sisters. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So could y'all talk there?
Oh, yes.
And
At
that
that
time during that time.
During that half hour, yes, you could talk. Yes.
Oh, that's when y'all were naughty. That's when y'all are naughty and gossiping about the sergeants in charge of y'all, right?
Well, you know what? I will tell you a very funny story. At Christmas,
Oh yeah.
at Christmas time, somebody gave us a liter of vodka. And Reverend Mother said, and this was at recreation, Reverend Mother said, "What are we going to do with this?" And I said, "I know." I said, "My dad used to drink screwdrivers. It's vodka and
Oh
orange.
my Lord, have mercy.
It's vodka and orange juice." And she said, "Well, do you know how to make them?" I said, "Sure." Well, I knew they were vodka and orange juice, but I didn't know the proportions. So I went half and half.
Oh my Lord.
And,
My Lord, have mercy.
and after recreation, we would go back to choir and chant another hour of the divine office. The nuns couldn't.
Yeah, I bet y'all did. Hey, I bet y'all did. Hey, y'all acting just like y'all were acting just like the disciples in the upper room. They thought they were drunk with wine.
I got told in no uncertain terms that I was not going to do that again.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah.
I bet y'all are speaking in tongues and everything over there.
Yeah, it was quite chaotic.
Hey, she turned the monastery.
Man,
Because see,
they were like,
in the choir, there's these dots on the floor, in the middle on the floor, and so if you intone, meaning you begin a verse of the Psalms, the sister who intones it, she moves out from her place on the side to the dot, and then she intones this next part of the prayer. And the nuns couldn't find the dots on the floor. That we could hardly.
oh my Lord.
Yeah,
Lord have mercy.
so see there's opportunities for laughter.
Oh, I guarantee it. So, all right. So now that you got all the nuns drunk, right? So,
Okay. So then anyway, after recreation, then you go back to the choir and you chant another hour of the divine office. And by hour, I don't mean span of time. I mean, it's just another designated part of the divine office.
right.
So then you go back and you chant another part of the divine office, and then you go to work again. You go to your place of work. Then you go back to choir later on in the afternoon for Vespers, which is the late afternoon hour of the divine office. So then you're together again for that. And then after that, then you have another hour of private prayer. And then after that hour of private prayer, then you have supper. And then after supper, then you have another half hour of recreation where you can talk. And then after that, then you have Compline, which is the night prayer of the divine office. And then after Compline, then everybody goes to their own individual cell. And then you go to bed and during that time when you go back to your individual cell, you can, probably read or pray or whatever. And then everybody retires at 9:00. And our beds, Ryan wants me to make sure I tell you what we sleep on. Our beds
All
are like
right.
we're like say, picture two sawhorses that are cut really short. And then across those two wooden sawhorses are two planks of wood. And then on those two planks of wood, you have what's called a tick, T-I-C. And it's a heavy canvas bag, which is filled with straw. And that's what we slept on.
Man, there's been a few people in the comments said that what you're describing, and they're using the word literally. They said it literally sounds like life in prison. And I know one of the persons that said it. Actually, I think it was 3 or 4 people already, but one of the persons that said it, I know for a fact that they were in prison. So for them to say that it sounds like life in prison, they're not being funny. They're really saying,
actually, they're being quite accurate. The difference is your free will. You chose it, and you have a purpose for it. That's the difference. But if you want to look at a life in terms of restrictions, oh yeah.
Yeah. So let me. There's actually a couple of more photos here. Maybe you can.
Question. I'm sorry.
Okay, this would be.
Bill, hold on. Bill, hold on a second. Let her talk about this one photo and then ask your question.
Okay, this would be a picture of one of the nuns probably making her vows. And they are putting the black veil on her. And then they're going to put this wreath of flowers on her head. It's in religious life, when you make your vows, it's like your wedding day.
Okay.
That's what it symbolic of. Sure.
Yeah. So I think Bill had a question for you.
Yeah, I just had. At any time, were you able to leave, or you had to go through procedures in order to leave at will?
Good question. The cloistered nuns never leave the cloister unless it would be for a medical reason which can't be taken care of within the enclosure. Some of our doctors actually came in the enclosure, but if you had to have a procedure done, and if someone were to come into the enclosure, all of the nuns were told about it, and you were to go to your place of work or your cell or whatever, so that you were not seen when some outsider was within the enclosure. But if you needed,
excuse me, Linda. Somebody else is asking, and I was thinking about that too. on one of the pictures that I popped up, and so when you were talking about like it's like a wedding, someone asked, why is the veil black if it's like a wedding day?
You know what? I can't answer that. The black veil, as opposed to the white veil that the novices wear, it just shows the whether you're in or out of vows. If you're wearing
Okay.
if
All
you're
right.
wearing a white veil, you haven't made vows yet. If you're wearing a black veil,
Okay.
you've made vows.
Okay. So that's just a significance in coloring. Let
Sure,
me bring up another picture. Let me bring up another picture here. Is this kind of the same thing here, the vows?
sure. That's more of the same. Now the
Okay.
sister that's in black with the in back of the one that's kneeling, and she's in a white veil. She's a novice. Okay, and the
What
one that is
what does that mean? Hold on, Linda. What does that mean exactly?
the novice is when you're in training. You are not in vows. You haven't made vows yet, and
Yeah, because
so this
I see two with white and two with black. So the two with white are novice.
they're novices and they haven't made vows. And the one that's kneeling and her hands are in the hands of Reverend Mother, she's probably at the point of receiving the black veil and making her vows.
Ah, okay.
Can I ask a
All
question?
right.
So,
Sure.
what kind of nun was Mother Teresa? Because she was like very famous, and I never really looked into it. But maybe you know, maybe you guys
Are,
talk about her.
are you talking about Mother Teresa of Calcutta?
Yes,
Okay, Mother of Teresa of Calcutta, she was originally a sister of Loretta.
I have no idea
And
what that is.
What
that's
what does
just
that mean?
another religious.
It's another Princeton University.
No, because they're active religious. Okay, I'm not sure if she was a teacher or worked in an orphanage, but she was in the order of Loretta, and she left that order in order to begin her own order of
Okay,
Oh, so she was like a Protestant nun.
so the Loretta Order, is that a community college or an Ivy League college?
community college.
Okay,
So that's like the order of
so
Melchizedek.
so the Sister Teresa that a lot of people know was at one of the community colleges, and then she left the community college to start doing her own thing.
She founded her own order, correct?
Okay,
Wow,
she
I didn't know
founded her.
that. That's interesting. What was the name of her order? Do you know?
Sisters of Charity, I believe.
So she basically is like a Protestant nun, in other words, because she protested against the order and created her own order.
Well, that's one way of looking at it.
She
I
was the
think
beginning.
she probably more envisioned. Um,
So did she still submit to Rome, Linda? Was she still like submitted to? Right, these are just questions that I'm just going flying through my
yes,
head now. So she
no,
technically,
yes,
okay.
yes. She was in communion with Rome. Yes,
Oh, okay. That answers a lot of my questions. I didn't think about that till you were talking about all these orders, and I'm like, I wonder what she was, because I know she had her own orphanage, and she ran it herself, and she.
correct.
I mean, there's some great stories about her that
In
I know of.
Calcutta. Yeah,
Yeah,
in
right.
Calcutta. Yeah,
So
yep.
if somebody wanted to join her order, they could. Like if a woman wanted to join her order, well, obviously when she was around, they could have just joined her order, or would they have to go through one of like the Ivy Leagues or colleges first and then transfer?
No. They could go directly to entering the order that she founded.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. All right, go ahead, try. I digress. I got my
No,
question
y'all are
answered.
good, man. So tell us about this photo here, Linda.
Okay, in this photo, Um, the place where the nuns chant the divine office is called the choir. Then to the side is where they attend mass. Now, it's too bad I don't have a picture of the public chapel, but on the opposite side of the choir is the public chapel where the priest says mass. For the nuns
Okay,
to
so let me just get you're saying, okay, so this is a big room, but you're saying that these nuns are secluded from the bigger part of the group.
correct. The public
Okay.
that comes to mass at the monastery, they cannot see these nuns here that you're looking at because they are off to the side.
Okay.
They're off to the side. And this grate that you see, now in this particular monastery, this is the style of grate that they use. Okay, and it's probably
Okay, so there's different grates.
yeah, that's pretty much typical. I mean, before there were so many changes in religious life, all the monasteries had the same grate, and it was kind of like it was black, and it was almost like the metal that made up the grate was probably about the size of one of your fingers, the dowels. And then
Right.
what happened with Vatican II was they were saying some changes need to be made to make it not so intimidating. Okay. So they removed the black grates, which had squares of about 2 by 2. That's what you had to look through. And the various monasteries chose different styles of grates that they felt would be more acceptable to today's culture.
Oh, and so basically
nicer.
what you're saying, hold on. So what you're saying is this monastery right here chose prison bars.
Right, I was going to say the same thing, Truck. Gold prison bars.
That is exactly yes, they stole the idea from the prisons. Yes.
Lord have mercy.
Gold prison bars.
Well,
Yeah.
they're probably wood.
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah.
So if y'all really wanted to, y'all could get an old karate chop to that bad boy and escape, probably. Okay.
Grab one
Yep.
of them hymn books,
All right.
bro.
So we got one more picture here. Maybe you could tell us about this one a little bit.
Well, those are Carmelite priests and brothers.
Okay. So it's just the male version.
Correct. Some of them are ordained priests, some of them are brothers, and if they're a brother, they're on the same scale as a woman in terms of being a sister, and they're a brother. They would be taking vows the same way the women would be. Unlike
Right.
the priests are ordained, so they don't take additional vows, but the brothers do. And most of the brothers are cloistered as well. Some of the Carmelite priests, some of them serve in parishes, and they often provide spiritual direction to Carmelite monasteries.
Right.
Two brothers in that picture, which is uncommon.
Do what?
I said I actually see two like actual brothers, if you know what I mean, in the picture, which is uncommon. You don't see a lot of African descent folks in the priesthood in Catholicism.
Is that true, Linda? Is there whatever, I understand everybody likes to be called something different. Were there African American or black people involved in this? Because I think that's what Dre's pointing out.
One of the nuns in our monastery, Sister Joanna, she was black. Yeah, so there's no discrimination in terms of color and ethnicity. We had a Japanese Hawaiian nun.
Right.
There's no.
So, yeah, but again, people have to choose to do this. It ain't like that some Catholic like strong arms going around just snatching up people who they choose. Someone actually has to make a choice to go there. So
It's totally free will.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I say that is because historically speaking, back in like the early Inquisitions and stuff like that, African people of African descent, because of their blood, were not allowed to even be saved according to Rome. So I know they've changed that as time has gone on, but it wasn't a common thing to see quote unquote black priests. You probably never see a black pope. I can almost promise you that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, Linda, is there anything you feel that that you want to talk about that maybe you haven't spoke about regarding you being a Carmelite nun or whatnot? Before I just keep asking you questions, there might be something specific. Maybe not. I mean, if there's not, that's fine. That's no problem. I just didn't know if there was something specific that you wanted to discuss, because we did talk about a lot. It's not like we hadn't. Oh, somebody's question. They asked, did the Pope visit y'all?
No.
No.
And the other thing is the difference between the vows of a cloistered religious versus an active religious is a cloistered religious takes solemn vows and an active religious takes simple vows. If you are in solemn vows, you have to be dispensed. If you choose to leave, you have to be dispensed from your vows by the Pope.
Okay.
If you're an active religious in simple vows, that is not required.
Right. So, so obviously, because that's what I'm getting to, and I saw people asking the question which obviously this is what we're getting to. So can you go over, guys, obviously we usually get off around 10, but obviously we're not going to get off right at 10. Okay. So today's kind of not really a normal day on Descaled, but, can you talk to us about, and let me ask you this, how many years were you a Carmelite nun?
10.
10. Can you talk to us about
that? That's not counting the years I was a Franciscan.
Right. Just a Carmelite. So altogether it was about 13 or 14?
Yes.
13 so she was a nun for 13 or 14 years, 10 years as a Carmelite nun, which is, the ones that are more secluded from the world. But can you talk to us about your transitioning? Like, kind of explain what happened, why you left, and so forth.
Okay. My spiritual director, after I entered Carmel, my spiritual director became the very priest that, before I left the Franciscans, that said, tell her to stay where she is. He was selected by Reverend Mother as my spiritual director. So the day that he came and I was introduced to him, I said, "Oh my gosh, you're the priest that said I should stay where I was." And he said, "Yes," but he said that was necessary to test the spirit. Because if this was from God, regardless of any opposition, he would bring it to fruition. So anyway, Father Gabriel remained my spiritual director during the time that I was in the monastery. He suggested to Reverend Mother that I be trained in giving spiritual direction among the nuns. So he started the training for me in giving spiritual direction. We also had a nun in the monastery that was a doctor. And Sister Desiree, before she entered, she was a pediatrician.
Y'all hear that? She said Desiree, so there was a Hispanic one. I just want to be clear that so far we have Asian, Hispanic, African American. So they're all there. Go ahead.
We're all accounted for. And so
Trot. The reason why she left was my dad was a polo player.
I knew it. I knew it, bro. I knew it. She had very good vision. She's 2020 for real. She's like, that is a nice looking. Hey, she said that's a nice looking man on that horse right there.
No, actually, it was the horse I was attracted to.
Oh, no.
I love horses. I love them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then this one nun we had, she had been a pediatrician, and then she left pediatrics and she went into psychiatry. So when she entered Carmel, she entered Carmel at 40 years old. And so she gave me my background in psychology. So it was from those two that I was being trained to give spiritual direction within the monastery. Well, it just so happened that one of the Carmelite priests that I had gotten to know, he was given permission from the order to open a hermitage in Nova Scotia, Canada. And the purpose of it was they were going to build hermitages where lay people or religious could come for whatever designated amount of time they wanted to give to it, to deepen their spiritual lives and live as hermits. Well, Father William needed a core community to give spiritual direction to the lay people and the religious that came to the hermitage, and that interested me. I will say that my religious life, my life as a Carmelite nun, was easy for me. I came from a disciplined home life. I came from a home life where there was a lot of love. And so this life, and I am by nature an introvert. I love silence. I love solitude. So this lifestyle really was quite easy for me. And when people say, well, how could you possibly not be able to talk for so long, or, you know, all these different things that were a part of your life? And I said, that was not the hard part. The hard part about this kind of life is the interior, your spirit, the purification of your spirit. That is what is difficult about this life. It's not the removal of pleasures and comforts. At least for me, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's the purification of your interior. It's the purification of your mind and your
So you're
emotions.
saying, so you're talking about, okay, so you're explaining what was hard for you was the meditating, like um I guess the fasting life, that part. What do you mean? Can you
Oh
elaborate on
no,
what you mean?
no, those parts of the life were not that difficult, but it's this life, when you have so many distractions removed from you, you have to face your inner issues.
Yeah, give us an example of what you mean.
Oh, um,
Just one, like it doesn't have to be a bunch of them. Like having a
finding,
negative. Go ahead.
finding, finding a God-centered purpose for everything. And as you described so often, Trot, we interpret things through our senses. And even the Word of God, or not even, but the Word of God, the message is right in at the spirit level. And it's that part of it. And I'll give you another example. I told you that I had Jesus walking at my side in a constant state of awareness of his presence. Okay?
Right.
Gradually, I lost that. Gradually, it left. And this is where my spiritual director, Father Gabriel, was such an aid to me, because I had experienced something that nature can't tolerate. And by tolerate, I mean, it's like when God says, you can't see me and live. You cannot look upon the face of God and live. Well, you cannot experience him and not have repercussions of that in your physical being. And so, and I, am I making any clarity at all?
Yeah, no, I think that I think the way you're explaining it is fine. I just think like if there's a way that you could probably in layman's terms give an example on what you mean. I understand what you're saying. Um, you know, but if you can maybe say it in layman's terms where, you know, you have to understand there's a lot of people that don't understand that kind of life. So, you know, and I get what you're saying about the man that you're referring to that was helping you. But maybe if there's a way you could like just, you know, just say it in layman's terms, like, you know, just kind of be a little more uh more secular in what you're saying, so it can make sense to some of the people that's listening.
the bottom line in what keeps our spirit from union with God is our ego.
Okay.
It's self.
All
And
right.
so and so um gee, I'm at a loss for words as to um
Sorry,
Well,
Dre
yeah. So,
dropped.
okay. What about it? What?
I'm not sure if he was trying to request.
Uh, okay. So, okay. Well, what we are getting to is when you left, right? When you left being a nun, I think if we just hop back on that,
oh
we'll be
sure,
fine.
okay.
So,
So
yeah.
anyway, I told Father William that I was interested in being part of that core community that would be giving spiritual direction to laymen and religious who came to the Spiritual Life Institute. And so he says, well, are you sure you want to leave the cloister? And because he said you would be back out, dealing with the public, and so he said, if this is something you're really interested in, I would suggest you take a leave of absence
All right.
and see if you want to go back into the world, the secular world.
Right.
So that is what I did. I took a leave of absence. I had to go back into secular clothes. I was still in my vows, but I went back into secular clothes. I got an apartment. I got a job. And during that time, I met my husband.
Okay. So what eventually led to you leaving, being a nun, is that what was that the whole point? Like you felt like maybe you were done being a nun or what? Like, how would you explain that transition?
Well, actually, once I was out, I listened to, and this is in Mother Teresa of Calcutta. I listened to her speak, and she was talking about her transition from being a sister of Loretta to founding of her Sisters of Charity. And what she said was, it looks like such a sacrifice to give your life as a religious for service in whatever way. And she goes, but she says, it's not all that difficult to just serve and love a mass of people that don't really impact you on a deeply personal level. That is where so much purification takes place. And I thought, that is very true. I have a roof over my head. I have food on the table. I never have to have a penny in my hand. I'm provided for. I don't rub elbows with my fellow sisters. I don't have to work with them, and complain that why aren't they doing more? Why are things left for me to pick up after you? None of that.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've been given so much in life. God has been so good to me. I had a wonderful family life and upbringing. Now it is my chance. Now I'm being asked to give up what is really quite easy and comfortable for me.
Yeah. So, okay. So now after, almost 14 years of being a nun, you meet your husband, obviously you have some kids or whatnot. And so here we are in 2023 and you are on Descaled Live. And I'm pretty sure there's people wondering like, well, how did she become a guest, for Monday morning? Like what happened? Well, we already went through that she was a nun for 14 years. And what sect of, and again, this is my ignorance coming out, but what sect of the Catholic world were you a nun in? Because I don't think that I don't think I asked that.
Trot, I don't know what you mean by sect.
Yeah, okay, so you got Orthodox, you got like Roman Catholic, like there's so many different Catholics.
Okay, I was a traditional Roman Catholic. Obviously, okay. Obviously as a nun, I chose an extreme living of my faith. But I will say that, and I'm still in this process. I am still in this process because it has been my Catholic faith that led me to God. It was the vehicle through which God made himself known to me.
Right. And I mean,
however,
that's what, yeah, go ahead.
However, at 77 years old, I am learning now about biblical Christianity. And I ask myself, why did it take so long to go right to the source, the Word of God? And of all my 4 children, none of them remained practicing Catholics. And I told my kids, I don't mind if you do not practice as a Catholic. What I want for your lives is for you to find the vehicle through which you deepen your relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what matters most to me. And what I am learning now through my children, as they have found biblical Christianity, I am having to rethink and reassess so many of the parts of my belief system as a Catholic. And it has been difficult. It has been like pulling pulling things out of away from me that have been such a core in my faith and in my deepening of my relationship with God. But I feel like I am learning again for the first time.
Yeah, so can you kind of just go over how did you get to Descaled Live? Like talking about this, what brought you to this point?
Ryan.
Yeah, can you maybe help
anything that Ryan learns that he wants Mom to relearn, he makes a footpath over here. And says,
yeah,
Mom, you got to rethink this. Mom, you got to rethink that. Mom, don't you know?
Yeah, can you kind of go over maybe one of those or maybe a conversation you had with him, and I mean, it could have been the first or second conversation that you had with him regarding this topic?
Probably the way it came across first was, Mom, do you realize that Catholics believe this, but it's not in the scriptures? And if it's not in the scriptures, then it's not true. It's man-made. And so,
well, I don't mean, well, let me, hold on, Linda, let me say this. I don't mean how the Catholic system or whatever is not. I'm talking about because that's not what opens people's eyes. Telling someone that something is not true, that's not what opens people's eyes. I'm talking about, what did Ryan talk to you about that was eye-opening? Not how something else isn't true, but what did he tell you that was true, that your eyes after all these years? I mean, Ryan, are you there? Is Ryan there with you?
Yeah, no, I'm right here.
Together.
I'm right here. What it was is it was honestly, Trot, the very first time her eyes kind of got somewhat descaled was when she talked to you, when I had her talk over the phone with you. Before that.
Well, yeah, but listen, I get that, but there had to have been something you were talking to her about that even led to her wanting to ask me questions over the phone. Do you understand?
Well, I came over one night and I shared one of your videos, and I want to say it was talking about Shadows of Christ, and I want to say we were watching I think it was I want to say it was the Samson is the shadow of Christ. I want to say that's one of them. And then, I just really kind of explained what you guys do on your live. And I was just telling her that, hey, the black letters on the white page is not where it stops. I said there's, I was mentioning, that a lot of people think that, the black letters on the white page is the God breathed. And, I was just trying to explain in the best way possible that, that's not. And we need to find, the spiritual meaning behind the carnal letters. And, I just went into a few different examples, but the thing is, I always have a hard time. I'm not the greatest speaker. So yeah. So what I did was I just threw on one of your videos, and we just sat here for like 2 hours just listening to you, do what you do. And, and that kind of perked the interest a little bit. And, one thing led to another. She came over to my house, and, I had her chat with you, and, here we are. But
so, all these, Linda, all these years, as a nun, there wasn't anyone like really sharing the word with you guys. It was kind of like y'all just figuring it out as you go, or what?
That exactly. In fact, it's not like Catholics aren't exposed to the Word of God, because they are. It's part of the Mass. And
when you mean the Word, you mean the Bible.
Yeah. And the Scriptures. Yeah. And the thing is that in the divine office, every day we were in the Word, reading from the Old and the New Testament, and singing and chanting the Psalms. But it was like reading a book.
Right. So that's why. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
that was missing.
So the story of the Bible was there, but the word wasn't.
Correct.
Is what I'm getting at.
Correct. And the thing was, I think I spent so much time reading lives of the saints and all this, and I'm thinking, why all that time spent on reading the lives of other people's relationship with God? Why Why aren't we in the Word? Why aren't we being in?
So in other
Yeah.
words, Trot, she never even read the black letters on the
No,
white page. She didn't even get to that part.
no, but I mean, we chanted them daily.
Well, yeah.
But it was like I say, it was like reading a book about something. It wasn't like this is a living word that is active and alive
Yeah,
within
exactly.
you. And the thing is that when I listen, I think one reason why you're teaching about what is being said in the scriptures is difficult. And it has to do with the term that you use of that's from the belly.
Right.
Most Christians never get beyond that level of Christianity, of living their Christian lives. They're stuck in their senses. They
Yeah.
never get
100%.
beyond They never get beyond that into the spirit. And that's what you're talking about. And if you haven't gone through the steps to grow up to that point, you're not going to understand what you say.
Yeah, exactly. So would you say, just, again, based on you being a nun for almost 14 years, would you say the majority of Catholics wouldn't understand what I talk about?
Correct.
100%.
Why? Why wouldn't
Absolutely.
they?
And I don't mean
Why,
just Catholics. I mean your mainstream Christian.
well, no, I know I'm with you on that, but I don't have any history personally as being a Catholic, right? So because you always hear, right, there's these arguments. There's a lot of people that say, excuse me, that Protestants and Catholics dislike each other. I don't know where this comes from. Me personally, I don't dislike anybody. I don't know why they have this false image, of Protestants. They're always talking bad about Catholics, and I laugh because just based on the way that I speak, people would think I talk bad about everybody because I make it very clear that the God breathed part in the Bible is not preached. And that's a problem no matter what sect that you're claiming you're from. I don't care if you're claiming to be a Protestant or a Catholic, because just like you're saying, because you weren't just a nun for almost 14 years, you were in the Protestant world as well. So you've done both. And you're saying in both areas, the word, the God breathed part is not talked about enough, because if it was, you would have seen it somewhere.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely. But the thing is that we have you have to already embark on the spiritual life, on a relationship with God, in order to get to where you're speaking from. And we
Right.
live in a society today which doesn't even get you started on the spiritual walk.
100.
We
Right.
are
Yeah.
still living. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So based on like the question that I was asking about a lot of Catholics today, not the Protestant. Trust me, I'm what a Catholic would call a Protestant. So I don't carry that, and I don't think Catholics really are. I don't believe they're really trying to like just keep this finger pointed at this whole Protestant. I think it's like a word we use that's basically saying, well, you're not a Catholic, so they got to use a name to it, so we can at least have a conversation about what type of person we're referring to. So I don't knock them for that. I understand, we have to have some kind of name, so just to make conversation easier. But because you were a nun for almost 14 years, it's not like you have no understanding as far as what Catholics teach or how things are there. What would you say a reason that a Catholic today, right, let's say they were to tell me, hey, Trot, all that stuff you're saying is nonsense. what would be the reason that you would say that's what they would jump to? Like, why would it be hard for them to hear?
Because I think for the most part, being a Christian, going to church is a slot in their life, but it isn't, a relationship with God isn't at the core of their life. We do things that makes us feel spiritual, but it has nothing to do with where you're speaking from.
Okay, so you're saying a majority of Catholics are focused so much on a physical feeling or a physical belief that when you speak to them spiritually, they have no idea what you're talking about.
Correct. I think they're focused on practices.
Traditions.
Right.
Traditions, and you attend and you participate, but you really don't know you really don't understand what a relationship with Jesus Christ, where it even begins.
What would you say to someone, because surely you've heard arguments about certain things, and I'll bring one of them up to you. It's so comical to me personally, but you'll hear people say that the reason that they chose to be a Catholic is because they studied the history, and that is the real church.
Oh yeah, Peter, the first pope.
Yeah, the first pope, right? So what would you say to a person that is making that claim that that's the reason that they're a Catholic? Would there be anything at all that you would say to that person?
You know, Trot, you have to get into the Word. You have to get into the Word. Growing up, you know, I told you my dad was a Methodist, and my grandfather was a deacon in the church. And one of my dad's greatest heartbreaks was that the Catholic Church said you had to be a Catholic to get into heaven. And I can remember Daddy saying, I can't imagine that because my mom wasn't a Catholic, that she's not in heaven. And so the thing is I think that Catholics hold on to a list of beliefs, and they just absorb them as a Catholic.
They believe what they've been told, and they don't test and read for themselves.
You know, and I've struggled in many, many ways, and I'm still struggling in trying to put so many of these pieces together, because all of my kids have come back to me saying, Mom, this is wrong in the Catholic, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is, you know, idolatry, this is, and I'm thinking, well, then how did the Catholic Church provide the basis for so many people to become holy? What's the problem here? Well, the problem is in every single denomination. You know, we don't all earnestly grab hold of we don't all earnestly have the desire to have a relationship with God and have Him part of every part of our life. For most people of every denomination, it is a slot in life that we fulfill that allows us to say, I'm a Christian. And the thing is that, you know, and this is the way I have always felt, is all these denominations, you know, okay, Ryan was born into a Catholic home, which for me it meant divine providence used, okay, the fact that he was born into our home, a Catholic home, God used Catholicism as a vehicle to introduce him to God. And as far as I'm concerned, all these denominations are vehicles that God uses to introduce someone to him, to God. But if we were living the spiritual life, if we were living a life in union with God, we wouldn't have any denominations. We would be all living from the Word of God, and all the divisions would be gone. The divisions are man-made, and when we go to the Word and we're all united in the Word, the divisions disappear.
So, Linda, let me ask you. So, all right, so you're a nun for almost 14 years. Obviously, that was approximately 40 years ago. You know, you have grown kids now. And then so Ryan, obviously, who's part of the panel just about every morning, is coming up to you and he's like, hey, hey, Mom, listen to this. And so you listen to it. And again, you know, we've kind of already discussed it, but what would you say made it easy for you to, I guess, to understand the God breathed part in the Word after all these years? What would you say made it easy for you? And you know, not you to shun it. What made it easy for you to accept it?
Well, I've never been a person that's been easily led. I think for myself. And let me just say that there were times that I did get myself in trouble in religious life because I challenged. I, I challenged things that I was told. So I am a thinker. I'm an individual thinker. And it has to make sense to me. And I've had enough experience with the spirit world, and purification. I do know, I mean, this is a very personal note, but I do know this is part of the purification of my spirit, what I am going through now, in letting go of so many things that were aids to me in my growth. I now am able to grasp the real depth of faith. Faith is not something that's easy at all. I mean, if faith is easy for you, then you better name it something else. Because
Try you could say something if you want on that one.
you know, because
yeah, no,
I was about to.
your whole
no, we're good.
Your whole intellect needs to be redesigned by God in order to have faith. We are so carnal. And that leap into dark faith, the things that the scriptures tell us about God are extraordinarily hard to grasp in our carnal nature. We only have what we see and touch to measure it by, but there is a deeper level to us, and to get across into that spirit dimension is extremely difficult. And it takes a lot of intellectual purification. In fact, the two saints that the Carmelite order is known for is St. John of the Cross and St. Teresa of Avila. And they call that purification of your spirit, which I'm going to say your intellect, they call that the dark night of the soul. Because the purification, in order for you to get the mind and the heart of God, takes a tremendous amount of purification by God. And
Yeah,
he will,
and I know, and I know we talked about the heart of God. I think I'm pretty sure that's one of the things we spoke about over the phone.
Yep.
We were talking about the heart of God, and and I will say I get it. It's not easy to see, when someone is trying to tell you that you are the Garden of Eden, right? Your heart is that soil that God plants seeds
yep,
in, and it's not easy to see at
yep.
all. Linda, would you recommend someone to listen to Descaled after going through there a little bit with Ryan on the phone?
Absolutely. But I will say that I think you're only understood by the spiritually mature.
Yeah, well, and that's true. That's 100% true. But Jesus says to go and make disciples, and so making a disciple is what you're doing is you're taking someone and you're showing them, because a disciple just means a learner.
Yes.
So making a disciple, all it means is to show them how to receive from the Spirit. That's it. So it's true that there are going to be a lot of people that things that's going to be said, they're going to have no clue what you're saying. Absolutely.
Correct.
But that's why they're supposed to be discipled.
Exactly.
So a lot of people are trying to be quote unquote a Christian, but they're not being discipled by anybody. Nobody's
Correct.
discipling them.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Christianity is being taught up until the point of that belly level, but not beyond.
And that's true.
And Trot, so we're clear, belly means carnal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was just using his term because that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not my term. It's Paul the Apostle's term.
Paul the Apostle.
Yeah.
Right? Paul the Apostle said that there's these people that they're haters of the cross, and he's making it clear who he's talking about. He said because their belly is their God. Their belly is, and he's talking about is their God. That's your emotions, your feelings, your own will is your God, not God's will. And so and that's what Paul's talking about. But Paul gets that from the Old Testament, and so I go through there in depth in a few of the recorded lives, which I'm never going to stop going through there because it's the truth, period. And so sometimes I could come off sounding like a broken record, but what I tell people all the time is the truth is the truth. That doesn't mean you stop repeating it just because you said it one time.
Correct.
It's so funny to me that people are like, man, you sometimes you just sound like a broken record, like you're saying the same thing over and over. Like, okay, so watch that, and then I turn it on them and I'll say, okay, is Jesus God? And they're like, well, yeah. I say, well, you sound like a broken record. Stop saying that. That don't make any sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. So the gospel is not complicated. I say all the time, all you need is a person to help you mess it up. You just need one person to help you mess up the gospel. That's it. That's all you need. And so we're supposed to repeat it over and over. You know why? Because there's always someone who don't understand. So I tell people all the time, if what I'm saying becomes a broken record, then one or two things is happening. I'm boring you, which is clear what the problem is if I'm boring you, or two, you've learned it and you need to go make disciples.
Correct.
One or the other is happening. So if I'm boring you, that either means that, I filled your carnal belly enough and you're like, well, let me go to the next thing to learn for fun. Or two, you've been fed and you're actually doing the wrong thing by not making disciples. So we're not supposed to get to a point where the gospel is boring. It should get to the point where it's like, hey, I'm going to go make disciples. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go make disciples. So, guys, it is already about to be 10:40. We went over approximately 40 minutes. I will say this, Linda, it was a fabulous event. I'm so glad that you took the time out of your day to go over your life experience as a nun for approximately 14 years of your life, and to be honest and to tell the truth that you felt like, again, maybe not, I may not be quoting out of your own words specifically, but basically that it was a bunch of repetition, and you've finally gotten to a point where that there has to be more depth in the word, and what you were seeking was the God breathed part, and the problem is there was nobody discipling you while you were there as a nun. Jesus told us to make disciples. That's what he told us to do, and so we can have all these ways of going about trying to get someone to, and again, just like you said, because God loves us. And so if somebody wants to go be a nun, you go right on ahead. God's still going to love you through the process, but God didn't start loving you because you became a Catholic. He loved you before you did that. Right. And so he continues to love us, whether you become a Catholic or not. And she was ready to hear the God breathed part. And when she was told the God breathed part, she came alive. They're talking to her on the phone, and Ryan was looking at her face, and I think it's a clear point to be made that there are people that they're seeking truth, and sometimes they fall under this idea of history. I've seen this so many times where people make the mistake and they only become a Catholic because they study the history for 5 years of their life or whatever, however long, and they become a Catholic and they feel better about themselves. And I'm telling you right now, you're very close for your belly being your God, and you're actually feeding your belly. And of course, at first it doesn't seem that way, but after listening to Linda's testimony, and I've heard many, now Linda's a first nun that I've ever met. That part is 100% true, but I have met so many people, and I don't care what they claim, Catholic, Buddhist, atheist, I've met them all. And when they hear the word of God, the God breathed part, they come alive. Okay. And so it's important to have an understanding of the God breathed part, the spiritual word that's within the scriptures. There's nothing wrong with the scriptures. We need it. It's there for a purpose. But a lot of times those black letters on the white page, when you focus to people who are carnal in their belly, all they do is use scripture to argue. That's all they do. They just argue about scripture. I'm saying they argue about basically who can memorize the Bible the best. That's all they're arguing about.
Because then the Bible becomes a tool.
Right.
And
right. Instead of, go ahead.
Instead of life, it becomes a tool that Christians use against each other.
Yeah.
And Trot, so, I have to say thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. I am in the process of learning so much, and I just say, God, why did it take so long for me to be exposed to really the
word.
life-giving word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something that I'm sure that you should have found.
Absolutely.
14 years as a nun, you should have found that. But I tell people all the time, you cannot give something to someone that you don't have.
Yep.
And there are so many people who are claiming to be a Christian. I don't Catholic, Protestant, it doesn't matter. They're claiming that they have living water to give. And the truth is they don't, because they were never discipled. It was never given to them. But yet that's the claim that they make. And so finding life is different than finding history. There's a lot of people that leave different sects of Christianity. I don't care what sect it is, Catholic, Protestant, whatever. They leave denominations because they found life. But anyone that on purpose chooses a denomination, it's because they read history. Do you not see how backwards that is? I'm going to say it again. A majority of people that are in a denomination, I don't care what denomination, it doesn't matter. Baptist, any type of Protestant, Catholic, whatever, all those are denominations, whether people want to admit it, they're all Christian. They believe in Christ. A majority of them that leave those denominations, they leave it because they found life. But anyone that joins denomination joined it because they read history. It's such a complete different purpose on why someone is joining or leaving something. So, but like I said, Linda, I think it was awesome. Thank you for accepting the invitation to come on Descaled. There may be somebody on the panel that has a question, so forgive me for being rude. Does anybody have a question for Linda on the panel? I know a lot of people put their phones down and walk away. There's probably
exactly what I was
I don't have a question.
Oh, I'm good.
I have a
I'm
question
good.
for you, but not for her.
What's up, CJ?
So you
What?
you along the lines of us having living water and it flowing out of us, is that baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit?
Really, you're trying to get me to talk about baptism?
No, I want to know.
Oh,
I'm
my Lord,
asking
have
if
mercy.
that is what you were saying. Is that along the same lines as what Jesus meant?
Well,
The living water flowing out.
I'll just say that. Look, I'll just say this. Everybody's got a Bible.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's got a Bible, and the answer is there.
Yes.
Okay. It's not hard. The answer is there. So, but I'll say, hey, Linda, Jude is asking a question. She's asking, how did you and your husband meet? Before we go.
We had a mutual friend who was a priest. I met him that way.
Oh, a mutual friend that was a priest.
Correct.
Ah, a mutual friend that was a priest. Okay, there's the answer. All right. Well, anyway, like I said, Linda, it was amazing. It was amazing for having you on. What's up? Who's talking?
it's me. I just
what's up?
she just mentioned something that she asked. She said that, Linda, you said that why did it take so long? For the point, and it just kept coming into my heart. But you got there now, so rejoice in that you have it, and
Thank you.
yeah, and I find it so fascinating, your story. It was amazing, it was edifying, and it's just. I tell you, you're a fascinating woman. You should do a video or write a book on your journey, because it was truly edifying. And God bless you. You're truly an amazing woman. I just met you, but I understand why Trot brought you, and I can see why. God bless you, and thank you for sharing your heart with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else got anything? Anybody else or anything? Nobody.
God
All right, I
bless.
got to make sure, Linda. I got to make sure, Linda, because I'll jump off and everybody start texting
I
me
had a
asking me how
question.
come you hopped off so fast.
Hey, Trot.
CJ, hold on a second. CJ, I asked, is anybody else have a question? I probably gave 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why it took you longer than 10 seconds to answer, sir? Any
No, I don't
reason?
have a question. I
Lord
was
have mercy.
imitating those who will be in your DMs asking.
Oh, you're right. Somebody is
I
going to do it. I'm telling you, somebody's going to do it. They're going to say, no, I said it 10 times. I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't hear you say nothing. Ryan, what were you going to say?
Yeah, somebody in the comments asked, "What's a mystic?"
Oh, okay.
Mysticism is the it's it's the study of supernatural action within a human being by God. It's and there's various types of mystical experience. Locutions, that's hearing interior words. There's it's an experience of God outside yourself. He has to do it. You have nothing to do with it.
So like an out of body experience.
Well, it might not be out of body, but it is God's action, not something that you can bring about.
So
Interesting.
Well, all righty. Okay. See, I'm trying not to hop off because I don't want someone to get mad. What's up?
We talk about Revelation.
Better not.
You know what?
Better not.
I can't wait to hear Trot on that.
I bet you can.
Trot,
I'll say this.
Trot, I will be right in there, both ears.
Yeah, well, well, I'll say this, and I'm not kidding when I say this. So, man, dude. All right. So when I started seeing things in Revelation, I'm going to do a horrible job at explaining this, but I'm not kidding. So, so for a spiritual truth in the Old Testament to be revived or seen or whatever you want to call it, for me personally, okay, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm talking about like one truth, okay? It took me months just to understand one truth in the Old Testament, like a few months. And let's say, I got maybe 2 or 3 understandings at one time, fine, but that's only 2 or 3. And then a couple of months later, another understanding. And before you know it, a year goes by, and let's say I have 10 understandings. I'm just giving an example. Just bear with me. I know it doesn't make sense the way I'm explaining it. It's the best I can do right now. So let's say I got 10 biblical truths or understanding spiritual revelations about the Old Testament, and it took me a year. It took all 10 of those just to get one understanding in Revelation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. If it took me a year just to gather a certain amount of understandings in the Old Testament, and all that just gave me 1 point in Revelation, and another year goes by, and now let's just say I just so happen to have 3 points in Revelation, and let's say Revelation is 50 points. I'm doing the best that I can. When people ask a question about Revelation, all I'm going to say is this: I can tell that they didn't study out the Old Testament because the question they have is based on not understanding something in the Old Testament. And they think that they're going to bypass the Old Testament, go straight to the book of Revelation, and tell people they understand the book of Revelation. It is a disgrace. I don't know any other way to put it. I'm telling you right now, The book of Revelation is not something you just hop in there and you think you're going to have more questions than you did when you started. And you're going to look like a fool than you ever have, because you still are not understanding that the Bible was written by Christ from the beginning all the way to the end. And if you don't understand even what the Old Testament is talking about, I don't understand. And well, I do understand, but it's never going to happen. You might eventually get 1 point out of the 50. If you start at Revelation, you might, because Revelation is going to force you to go to the Old Testament. But notice the way you're doing it. You're trying to reverse engineer the process. And so when people are like, hey, talk to me about Revelation, I'm like, well, what do you want to talk about? All I have to do is hear their question. And I already know just by the question they're asking what they haven't studied or seen in the Old Testament. But yet they want to talk about, they're not going to understand what you're trying to tell them, because they're so on a surface level that wow, I'm telling you, it gets crazy. If you tell someone that's been reading the book of Revelation by itself, let's say for 5 years, and they ask a question, and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm like, that question you're asking, like, all you're going to do is insult people. They're going to get mad at you. And you know what? It's your fault. And I'm saying it would be my fault is what I'm saying, because I already know what the problem is. So why in the world will I sit there and insult someone constantly about what they're not understanding in Revelation? Why would I do that? Make any sense? So what I do is every once in a while, I'll throw out a nugget. And I'm only throwing that nugget out there based on the book of Revelation because of what we have went over so far. So for people that have been like coming to Descaled for a while, I don't mind throwing a nugget or two out about the book of Revelation, because I know they're at least going to have an idea on what I'm saying based on the several months that I've been going over shadows of Christ and things of that nature in the Old Testament. And, I know half of it is probably understood and the other half isn't. But what's eventually going to happen is if I go further, I'm just going to be insulting people. And then now you're going to get the attitude, you don't know everything. Oh, when people tell me that, it's so funny, because you know who says that? You know who says you don't know everything? It's kids. Kids say that to their parents. That's who says that. Parents don't argue with kids and say, you don't know everything. Parents don't do, they already know the kid don't know everything. So when an adult says to me, you don't know everything, I already know I already know where that comes from. They're mad because they want to be right about something in Revelation. And so now they're mad at you. Now it's your fault, because you're trying to show them what it does mean. And they're like, well, you don't know. So basically, if they don't know, you don't know. And I'm like, okay, so now nobody knows. So first you were telling me you knew. I'm trying to show you what it does mean. Now neither one of us know. Oh, man. So Revelation is not something that you can just hop in and not already understand a lot that's happening in the Old Testament. Like, it's just not going to happen. I mean, that's just the truth of it. But obviously, every once in a while, I will say a thing or two about it, and it's only because, it happens to be relevant to something that we're already discussing. Like the last time it might have been we're talking about, the foundations of heaven and the gates. And I didn't want to, but it was relevant to what we were talking about. I was like, all right, look, let's go there. And I'm telling you, we were not talking about that no longer than 5 minutes before people started arguing. It never fails. It never fails. It will never fail. You know why? Because everybody wants to know what Revelation. I mean, it is. Oh man. And I'm telling you, it's not what you. I'm just gonna say this, and I say it all the time. It is not what you think. Period. That's all I'm gonna say. It is not what you think.
Jude May. She's like, y'all can't handle the truth.
Well, let me see. Let's see. Kathleen, Revelation was my very first book read. It can lead to legalism without understanding. Yeah, and it can lead to a lot more than that. I mean, geez, it literally causes division between believers. I have seen people stop being friends because of it.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're both wrong. I'm sitting there listening to the argument that they're having, and they're both wrong. Can you imagine? Like listening to two 8-year-olds argue about, I don't know. And I'm going to go back to generic, very simple things like the Ninja Turtles. Okay. It's like listening to two 8-year-olds arguing about Ninja Turtles. And they're saying things like, let's just say Donatello's the one that had the staff. Okay. And Raphael had the swords. But they're arguing about what the staff is made out of. So one of them is saying it's made out of plastic. He's like, it's made out of plastic. And he's saying it because he's holding it in his hand, right? So the figurine is holding a plastic staff. The other one is saying that it's not made out of plastic, that it's clearly made out of metal, okay? So one's saying it's made out of plastic, but he's referring to the one, the toy. The other one's saying it's made out of metal because it's so strong. Now, the truth is it's made out of wood. The whole truth is Ninja Turtles aren't real. That's the whole truth, right? The complete truth is Ninja Turtles are not even real. But the point is, in their argument, they're both wrong. The staff is not made out of plastic. The staff is not made out of metal. It's made out of wood. But they are fighting to prove their point so much that they rather not even be friends anymore. And they're both wrong. Both of their arguments are wrong. That's the kind of junk I'm talking about. I can sit there and listen to 5 people talk about the book of Revelations and book of Revelation, and I'll leave because nothing that anybody is saying is true except for the verse they read. The black letters on the white page is true because they read it. Yeah, that part's true. But their understanding is so far-fetched. I'm like, gosh, no. And they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, I better not. What do I think? I think I'm about to go have me some coffee. That's what I think. I'm about to leave, but anyway.
Yeah, you're about to get jumped in the comments, Trot.
Oh, I dare you say that they're not real. They're real.
Yeah. So
anyway, in my imagination, they're real.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. It's gotten to the point that the topics that are brought up, it's like politics. It's become a political division of Republicans, Democrats. You understand? And they go at it. I mean, bombardment, man, and it's got to stop.
And it's just not the book of Revelation. It's all the other, once saved, always saved, water baptism, Trinity. They're all in the same category. They're a waste of time. It's foolish. All it does is cause division. I've been saying this for over 10 years. It's a waste of time. And what people try to do is they try to have these conversations under the name apologetics. They're saying, oh, well, I'm just doing apologetics. Let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with apologetics, but when you turn your arguments and lie and tell everybody it's apologetics, you're lying. It's not all apologetics. Apologetics has its place, but just because you're talking about the Bible and you want to make everyone believe, oh, well, I'm only doing this for God. No, you're in your belly. You're only in your belly. You're feeding your own will, which is trying to convert people to believe the way you believe. That's not making disciples. You need to make disciples. Making a disciple is not showing someone that the way they see Trinity or oneness is wrong. That's not making a disciple, and that's not even apologetics. I don't know who lied to you. That's not what any of that is. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
apologetics is real. Apologetics is needed, but you have to use the Spirit. You got to be able to discern when to use it. And if you think that just because someone disagrees with a something that you agree on, if you try to go argue with them to try to show them up that you got more scripture than they do, then you're in your belly. That ain't got nothing to do with God. You're in your flesh 100%. And so I'm saying that because people use the book of Revelation to do it. They use a lot of these topics and people, and I tell you, some people don't even understand me. They don't understand why I don't want to argue with them all day. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to waste my time trying to explain that. Our job is to make disciples. That's what our job is. Our job is not to go around making sure that everybody knows how much we disagree with what they're saying. That's not what you do. Who gives a crap if you agree or disagree? Are you making disciples? Yes or no? When's the last time you saved somebody? That's what's important. Not about arguing about what you believe and how you see things. No, your job is to bring people alive, open the blind eyes, open the deaf ears. That's why Linda came up here, is to say that she was a nun for over 14 years, and then she hears this hick from Texas up here talking about some spiritual things in the Bible, and made her eyes open, and that's why she's on here. Period. Because she's telling the truth on what she saw that day that we were talking on the phone. That's why she came up here. So we're supposed to make disciples. Your job is not to go around like Satan figuring out who you can stab in the back and embarrass. And, oh, I disagree with what you're saying. Quit being a child. Take your thumb out of your mouth and go make a disciple. Quit trying to focus on anything else. Do what Jesus told you to do and go make a disciple. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what we are supposed to do as believers. And if you're not doing that, then you're not doing what you are called to do, period. Because God did not call you to come in this world and go point your finger at everybody because you think they're doing something wrong, or God did not tell you to do that. Stop lying to yourself. He told you to make disciples. Period. Making a disciple is showing someone how to become a learner of the Holy Spirit. That's what a disciple is, a learner. But it's not a learner from a man or a woman. The person is supposed to show them how to receive from the Spirit. And guess what? From there on, the Spirit's got them. Not you. The Spirit's got them. But only a person that has trusted the Spirit will trust the Spirit with that job. The Spirit with that job, not me. All we do is make them a disciple, meaning a learner. So when people say, oh, well, I thought the Spirit's supposed to teach. Why are you teaching? I'm not teaching. I'm making a disciple. They don't understand the difference. You're showing them how to be a student from the Spirit. That's all you're doing. That's it. That's all you're doing. It's not hard. So when people say things like the Bible says that the Spirit will come and then man don't have to teach anymore. Exactly. But that doesn't mean that we negate what Jesus said when he said make disciples. We make the disciple. We make the person see and understand how to receive from the Spirit, and that's it. Don't you understand? That's it. From there, the Spirit will teach them because they know how to receive from the Spirit. But only after you've been before. So anyway, that being said, Linda, thank you again for coming. I'm sure we'll have you up again. I'm sure there's going to be some questions that someone's going to say, I asked this question 10 times. I never got an answer, which I'm sure. But if anybody's got anything to say it, or forever repeat. Linda, you got any last words?
No, just thank you for the inspiration that you've given me.
Oh, absolutely, man. God's amazing. And, if you've never had a friend, he's the best friend to have right there. So, let me see.
Taylor wants to know if we're having a 2-a-day.
Man, that's a good question. I'm not sure, guys. If we decide to have a 2-a-day, I will make sure. Just remember this. Remember this. If we do have a 2-a-day, guys, it's going to be around 3 or 4 o'clock, maybe 5. That's the time. I can't say right now if I'm going to or not, but if we do have a 2-a-day, it's going to be anywhere between 3, 4, 5 o'clock Central Time. So I'm sorry that it's, the answer is kind of vague, but I'm not sure if we will or not. But either way, God bless. And if we don't have a 2-a-day, we will see y'all in the morning.
We have to make sure
Sounds
everyone
good.
knows as well that Trot is not God.
Oh yeah.
Before we
Y'all
go.
don't forget that, right? Y'all don't forget that. Linda, I don't know.
He's just his favorite. That's all.
Yeah, well, that's obvious. That's obvious. I'm God's favorite. But no, Linda, just so you know, there's a lot of guys that are male and female, obviously, that come on the live and they're blessed and they're not afraid to say it. And so them being excited to receive the word, the God breathed part of God's word, they go on other people's lives on TikTok and they're just being honest, and they'll mention my name. Oh my God, I was on his live, and people will tell him, well, he's not God. And it's like, okay, I think they already knew that. Not really sure why why tell them that, but all right.
That your new username.
Do what?
Trot is God's step stool.
What? Do what?
Somebody put down there, Trot is God's step stool. Oh, that was Jordan. Jordan said Trot is God's step stool.
Hold on, I can't find it. Where Trot is God's step stool? I don't know. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
God says he's going to make your enemies his step stool. I think you kind of went the wrong way on that one.
Jordan.
You're saying I'm God's. Who said that? Jordan. Jordan, you're saying I'm God's enemy, bro?
No.
Oh my Lord. I have to quit inviting Jordan up here.
Right.
Anyway, hey guys, God bless. God bless. We'll either if we do a 2-a-day, we do. If not, I will see y'all in the morning. God bless. Have a good one.
God bless. Take care. Thank you.
You guys.
Go.